And we're getting ready to get into Champ Select pretty soon. But before we do that, actually, I think we are about to get into Champ Select.
Yeah, we are. It's going to be the first game of the day. It's Zenith versus the Final Five. And now both these teams are teams that might not be on you guys' radar for the most part. So don't expect that but there's going to be some names here that you might know. Rux is on the Final Five, but he is not exactly the star of the team. That team is rounded out by multiple members. Prototype White, who was formerly Prototype Black. If you watch a lot of streamers, you'll notice him from solo queue. A little thing about him, he always brings exhaust on every single AD carry he plays. I don't know if a heal bit him when he was younger or something, but he's always bringing that summoner spell.
Yeah, a little bit of a curious choice. Says he likes to duel with it as well. So we see the first bans coming out of the gate already. A lot of really hotly contested stuff. Rengar's been taken off the board. That was kind of expected. Gnar, a very obvious ban, and I think Vayne is probably a good one as well.
Yeah, we are playing on patch 419, and Azir is disabled. And if you guys watch Worlds, that was on patch 414. So a lot of patches have happened since then. There's been a Cassiopeia rework. Gnar has gotten those quality of life buffs. A lot of changes. Tristana took some nerfs to scaling. So we're going to see very different picks coming out. And Zilean, this is the patch that he had his experience reduced from global to just a small range. So he was on his way out anyway, so I don't think we're going to see any of that. But these bans that we're seeing are definitely making a lot of sense here. The Vayne targeted Prototype. He has 1,433 games of Vayne. His next most played is Jinx with 500, but then after that, it's Caitlyn at 150 in solo queue. So this guy plays a ton of solo queue, but his third most played, his Caitlyn, is 1/10 as played as his most played. It's ridiculous how much this guy loves Vayne.
He really does not have a whole lot in the tank besides that. It's a good reason why they want to do that, of course. Also taking Twisted Fate away from Gate 2. It's been one of his more played champions. We see already locking in the first choice. Lee Sin, very hotly contested jungler, pretty much for a long time, and that should go over to Mimo for sure. Look at this guy. He does, generally speaking, a lot of early action, so we'll expect him to maybe make some use of that very quickly.
Yeah, and a big thing here is they banned out the Rengar, which is one of Mimo's most played champions. This guy loves to level 1. He likes to invade and have those very aggressive junglers. And Shorter Ace, this guy makes Lee Sin highlights all the time. He's actually called the Wonder Kid of Washington because he was originally on... he's been on Cognitive. He was in the High School Star League.
Season 1, right?
Season 1, and made it all the way to the finals with his team. Really big proponent of that. So him not having Lee Sin or Rengar is going to be a big boon for Zenith eSports.
Yep, of course, over on the side of Zenith, picking the Sivir up has been a very hotly contested AD carry in the later stages of this 419 patch. So it's just kind of on the up and up, and a lot of people have been practicing with it.
Yeah, and a couple of reasons behind that is Lucian has taken multiple nerfs. His Relentless Pursuit now has a mana cost on it at early ranks. We removed the Ardent Blaze, the extra damage from AD ratios, increased the movement speed on it. His culling has a higher cooldown. And the big thing with Sivir is that we changed the collision radius on the boomerang blade. So when it flies out, it actually has a little bit longer range because now it detects the edge of it as opposed to the center. So there are some buffs to Sivir, and also it doesn't do anything and like kind of interrupt your auto attack. So you can still auto attack through the boomerang blade cast animation.
I see. Oh yeah, absolutely. So it gives you a little bit extra that burst as an AD carry as well. So even if it doesn't scale as well into the late game, well, we're going to talk about a carry that scary actually as well.
Scary
Jinx
carry.
is going to be locked in, of course. So Prototype going to take that one along with the Kha'Zix. This is a fairly decent protection composition for a very somewhat immobile champion like Jinx.
Yeah, and Jinx, you know, it's his fallback after Vayne, so that's completely expected there. Zenith eSports, you have to think that they knew that this was coming for themselves, and they also picked up the Sivir, who has a really good time against Jinx because their ranges aren't too great difference during the laning phase. You know, Jinx can go into the rocket and the fish bones, but at the same time, the way that she's going to lock her down is negated completely by Spell Shield.
Yeah, not to mention, yeah, the Zap, the Flame Chompers, either of those.
Super Mega Death Rocket.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually, if you time that right, that's literally the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Oh, so, Wind Wall's pretty good too.
Wind Wall's pretty solid also, I'll give you that. Swain is locked in as well, so this is something that I think was sort of an option, but not a very common one.
Yeah, there's been a lot of evolution in the top lane because Gnar's been such a big champion up there. And Final Five, you can look at their bans right there across the board. It is all three just top laners. So what that's going to do is that's going to funnel the Solo King onto a champion that he might not be 100% comfortable on. And this guy, the Solo King, he lives up to his name. He gets solo kills or gives solo kills in top lane. There's going to be some action up there. And against Rux, I really expect something to go down. And with those two champions, one likes to scale up, but the fact that people have been kind of morphing Aurelia and going away from the maxing W to maxing E gives you a ton of gank assistance, gives you a longer slow. I think that this is a great pick here. And just looking at the compositions across the board, Zenith has a lot going for them, but Final 5 has a little bit better team fight composition.
I agree. And not to mention, you also have to give credit where it's due for the pickup in the mid of the Jace. I think Easy, not only is he great on that champion, the exhaust should be incredibly useful, not against his own lane, but to deal with the Kha'Zix, to deal with the Jinx, to deal with the Aurelia. Those are veritable assassins in very different ways. I mean, Jinx as an assassin AD carry, maybe, but it's a scary composition that they have to be able to slow down if they want to take out.
Yeah, and the fact that he's going to have all that wave clear, that's really Easy's play style. His most played is Nidalee, and he loves those pokey champions. He's got the Zenith, he's got the Ziggs, he loves the Jace. So this is right up his alley in terms of play style, so he doesn't have to change too much this game. There's different win conditions here for both sides, but there is a little bit better of a 5v5 team fight for Final 5. Whereas Zenith, they're looking for a little bit more poke, but Swain, fitting into this composition is going to be a little difficult for him. But the Sivir is going to allow him to get closer and like get right in with his Ravenous Flock and be able to heal himself up a bunch. So they have different things here, and I really think that Zenith is going to try to play around objectives as opposed to Final Fight just going straight for them.
All right, well, with that said and done, we are going to load up onto Summoners for the first time today. But before we do that, we want to know what you guys are thinking online. You can always go ahead and tweet us at LOL Esports using the hashtag LCS expansion. Get a conversation going. Let us know what your predictions, prophecies, and paraphrasing is. We'll be going into that game in just a minute, but we have a quick disclaimer before we do.
Yeah, first start a conversation on Twitter with us. We'll read it. But at the same time, little disclaimer here, these games are actually pre-recorded. We're not. We're live, you know. Hey, guys, it's a little bit after 11.
Just a bit.
Oh, boom, check that one. So this is all pre-recorded. These games have gone through to prevent DDoS, to keep tournament integrity intact, and that's how it's done.
Yep, and that, of course, so these games have been sealed. We don't know what the results are, and here we go, loading up onto Summoner's Rift. It is Zenith eSports versus Final 5, and they're coming out of the gates pretty strong. Pretty standard items, and nothing really crazy happening. Line of scrimmage lighting up to begin this game.
Yeah, it looks like, well, that's a little uncharacteristic because Wild Mimo, he loves those level 1 invades. He got himself an early game champion. And everybody I talk to about this team of Zenith says they always level 1. They always try to go after people.
Yeah, they're just having a little bit of fun right now. You know, there's still plenty of time for this invade. It's only a minute on the clock. But I would expect it just because we have seen it happen so much. And Mimo has a fairly solid early game jungling champion in Lee Sin. He could pull those counter moves off, but maybe they're a little bit worried about the counter level 1 from Final 5. This is a strong team at just about every stage of the game.
Yeah, they have a really good power curve working for them here. You're going to see Rux actually taking the Crystalline Flask into the top lane. He's not looking to be aggressive. He's looking to just outlast that lane against the solo king and not get solo killed.
Yeah, well, that's probably the best thing to avoid when you're dealing with solo king up there. He does certainly make that his own territory. But Rux, no stranger to dealing with aggressive top laners, even if they're on Swain, definitely something we didn't quite expect to see. But as you mentioned, all those bans kind of force you to play something a little different.
Yeah, looking at the supports here, Jana made a really big resurgence during Worlds. He's starting with the Ancient Point there. And look at that, the invade coming out from Zenith eSports. They're trying to at least put pressure on this.
Yep, you see Prototype just trying to zone just a little bit here. Of course, taking the Q level 1, pretty standard stuff as well, and they are able to fend it off. So lanes are going to start up nice and normal. No swaps, nothing ridiculous, but kind of a half-hearted attempt as Mimo is just solo taking his own red.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this bot lane shapes up because we're going to have the Sivir, something we haven't seen in a very long time since people were doing these all-in compositions that just run straight at you. This composition doesn't really accomplish that for the most part. You're going to have a Jace that doesn't always want to all-in. You want to poke, stay on the outskirts. And look at this, the zoning potential here. The sustain from Nami is going to do wonders against this Jana. It's damage that when you put it onto her, she's not going to be able to heal up. She just shields preemptively. And look at that, shorter ace. He's actually going for the red invade here.
Yeah, he's trying to get this double red buff start to avoid keeping shorter ace from getting that buff. And he's going to say, hey, what happened to mine? Going to go ahead and throw out a W in that one. And it looked like we might have an early jungle fight. It could turn into a smite fight.
A smite fight!
Just a second. Here we go. Mimo, they're going to juggle the aggro right now. And who's going to be able to pick this one off? It's going to be one more. Oh! And it ends up going over to Mimo. No, it doesn't actually. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. They juked me.
The flash is coming over. There we
get the shorter ace. It's first blood. And that's going to be easy picking it up. So he, on the roam, is able to accomplish what Gate could not. And we thought it was going to be top lane first blood, but we were wrong.
No, it happened in that jungle. We talked about Mimo. He loves to invade. Talked about his level 1s. But look at that. Level 2 invade. They knew where the route was going to be because shorter ace started on that bottom side. There was the harassment by the bot lane there. So they were able to know that route. Shorter ace doesn't go straight for his red, and it costs him.
Yeah,
and at the same time,
really
Easy, he shoved it out. And look at that. Now he has a blue buff in that lane. It's going to tilt it in his favor even more.
Yeah, not only that, the extra gold in his pocket is going to make him get that level advantage just a little bit quicker. Whoa, Prototype has to be careful, takes one edge of the Boomerang Blade, and he is extremely low, having to pop the last of his potions. Frostalicious and K1 really not making this lane easy.
Yeah, she's gained about 80 or some odd range from the change to the edge of the Boomerang Blade being the collision as opposed to the center. It's a really big thing. You wouldn't think about it too much, but at the same time, also adding in the fact that you get it doesn't cancel your auto attack animation is really big for just when you're a high-level player and you know how to trade.
Yeah, so they're getting this one pushed in pretty hard here. They are going to get a bubble out on a Prototype, so he's going to take almost the full duration of the blade. Frost is getting in his business, but this is turning the damage around. Has to Spell Shield. Well, very useful ability in and of itself, but he did not take the better of that one. And although he is getting a little bit more poke out, but Janna going to help sustain just a little bit.
It looked like it was going to be a really good trade there for Frostalicious, but he does have his potion over Prototype. So Prototype is going to be down in effective HP at this point. He is going to have the Janna shield though, and that's what came up big in that last trade.
Yeah, that was really the benefit there of having that Janna, not just early in lane, but once she hits 6th the Monsoon, it's going to work so well to try to counter some of these engages, again, to protect the hyper carry that is Jinx, but Prototype still taking a lot of damage. These guys have blood in their eyes, and I really thought the top lane would be the one that we'd want to watch, but Mimo, he's thinking the same thing right now, moving up to try and capitalize on Rux just being a little bit wary of him, though. I think he knows something's up.
Mimo's trying to keep tabs all over Shorter Ace here. He's warded up his jungle very early on. And he also put it on that top side because they like to get the Solo King rolling. You know, he is the Solo King. Sometimes he's blasphemous even to himself, and he'll get a gank.
Well, sometimes it's a Solo Kingdom, but you can't count out Rux City, so he's doing pretty solid right now. Both the top laners at level 5. Once we see that 6, we might see it just get a little bit more bloody, but
oh, there we go. That ward pays off right there. They know Shorter Ace's position. Mimo can choose to gank a different lane, or he can choose to go up there depending on the exit route that Shorter Ace chooses.
Yeah, so far Zenith definitely doing a pretty solid job of getting keywords. They may not have placed a ton of them, but they're placing them in really good locations to get the site. Yep, easy Mimo. They're moving up.
They have the wards already all over Shorter Ace. Is he going to see him?
Yeah, I think he does. The Shock Blast still connects on him, though, and Mimo's looking for the chase. He almost lands the Sonic Wave, but they're going to have to settle for a Wraith Camp. Maybe Shorter Ace can try to sneak in there and Smite Steal something, but it's not going to happen.
Okay. Easy's doing a really good job of shoving, but he's missing some CS to do so. So they're putting more priority on jungle invade and jungle pressure than they are just winning the lane in mid. They're trying to make it so that you win the jungle, then you'll win mid, as opposed to vice versa.
Yeah, Mimo is really doing a good job of knowing exactly where Shorter Ace is going to be before he even does it. It's almost like he's reading his mind before he even makes it up. But now Shorter Ace is coming in to try to take a fight here, at least try to scare them away. Gate was moving out as well, but they don't really want to use their teleport. Rux is just going to be backing for the time being. Solo King gets quite a lot of free farm to himself.
He's a little bit down in farm compared to Aurelia. It's going to be about even when he clears that wave, depending on how much he gets.
She'll hit a pretty decent power spike anyways. The Rod of Ages will be completed in just a little bit. Frost, though, since K1 went to go zone up and ward a little bit, had to get pushed back in for a moment. But again, there's been a lot of pressure on Prototype. He's losing in the CS game, but he is a much later game carry. And once again, this time it's Mimo who gets spotted out. So they know just about where he's heading to, looking for a blue buff, but he's not going to find it.
Nope, he's going to get the timer on it, though. It is about that 7 minutes and 20 seconds that it'll come up. Look at that, the harassment.
He's able to dodge a bit, though.
Yeah. Big thing about that matchup is the fact that he has Nami. As soon as he gets one attack, despite the range of 500 on Sivir, he's still going to be able to get the follow-up attacks with the slow. Yeah,
and it's like this is going to be the first big contest this game so far, the blue buff. Not very happy that there's a whole lot of people there, but there is going to be the instantaneous shockwave. Not going to be enough to capitalize on it, but Prototype still returns some damage. Get out of our jungle.
Yeah, it's one of those early skirmishes. Jace, level 6, does nothing. He already has his ultimate. You don't put points into it anyway. Orianna, level 6, really big for those mid-game skirmishes. Those early game skirmishes, too, as soon as you hit 6. So it was big there that he hit that. They're able to secure their own blue for himself and not get even further behind that mid lane.
Yeah, really good that they hadn't, well, not really good, but really interesting that they hadn't backed and bought the items. Otherwise, we might have seen a little bit more bloodshed down there. But as it was, everyone was able to walk it out after the shockwave got completed. But a very timely level 6 for the mid laner, a final 5.
Yeah, it's a very good decision there, too, by Easy to stay in the mid lane afterwards and just clear it out. He's doing a really good job of pushing waves. He doesn't seem to care how much CS he ends up losing, as long as he's keeping pressure on Gate.
Now, Mimo has been doing a pretty solid job, even if he's down a little bit in CS, and, well, there's that combat we talked about. Rux, a lot of damage dealt to him, but that Equilibrium Strike is going to be pretty useful if he wants to take it. Looks like he's going for the chase right now. Got to be careful, though. Swain can do some damage from afar.
He's maxing that E first on Swain. You don't see a lot of Swain, so everything that you max is a little bit...
It's standard. It's all standard.
Yep. Shorter Ace coming up top. There is a ward there. He is going to place the pink.
I don't think either of these junglers have really been able to do anything sneakily this game. It's been all about the vision in that jungle. However, here we go. Sides. Prototype Rule 18. They're going to try to clear this out. It can only mean one thing. They're eyeballing the dragon right now, but they don't have the means to take it just yet.
They're getting eyeballed themselves by that ward. It's all about this ward control for both teams, and I love the fact that both teams have everybody contributing to it. The AD carries are clearing wards out. They're helping their support place the wards. Everybody is doing something here. The mid laners, the junglers buying wards themselves and placing them. Look at Rux. He's got himself a pink ward in his inventory, and he's ready to go. But look at that. Once again, coming back to the scene of the crime where the first blood came down, there's so much pressure on Shorter Ace this game from Mimo and Gate.
Everything they can do, every little advantage they can try to shut down Shorter Ace, they're going to take it. Of course, it may not be the biggest selling point of this team's fight. They want to be able to take as much time as they can to get the ramp up. They have a late game Orianna, they have an Aurelia, they have a Jinx. These are all item dependent champions, and it's just going to get worse and worse. But Zenith, they're doing pretty good so far. Solo King really beating out Rux for the start of this game.
He's not beating him out too much. Rux does have the flask.
That's true.
And the fact that he's already ahead of him in CS and applying pressure is a really big thing. It's pretty much even at this point. Like, I don't mean to be like, no, you're wrong, but they're pretty similar at this point.
That's true. The jungle pressure is really what's making the difference right now. Yes. Mimo's been just a lot more proactive in trying to draw away several members of Final Five, and that's like what they want to do. They want to keep them stretched all around the map and not let them get to this comfortable state where they can just start to outscale. So it's true, the Solo King isn't maybe necessarily ahead, but he's doing what he needs to keep Rux occupied, and they're not going to expend that teleport without first using one of theirs. So when we do see a final fight, it should be a pretty big explosive.
Oh, listen.
Yep, he's coming in.
He missed the Sonic Wave.
Yeah, that was a little unfortunate, but all the same, Frost and K1 are able to handle this one up. You have Shorter Ace making moves, looking potentially at a lane gank right now, but it's going to be hard to pull off. There's a lot of mobility in that bot side.
Yeah, there's a lot of mobility there, and I think the big story of this game so far has just been the amount of pressure that they've been placing on Shorter Ace. Gate is sacrificing CS. He's about 11 behind now to just clear the wave, keep pressure on Gate so he can't go anywhere, and then they invade the jungle. They try to keep Shorter Ace down, keep tabs on him so he can't cause early pressure. And here's the thing too, is we're going to hit some mid-game power spikes before the dragon comes up. Question is, can Solo King end up getting his Rod of Ages and Rux get his Trinity Force? Because if they show up with a Rod of Ages and the Trinity Force isn't completed yet, it's going to be a really good fight for Final Five.
Yeah, there's definitely a window of opportunity. And
Zen.
Also, you have a couple of interesting builds to maybe counteract that as well. You have Gate going for the very early Spirit, or rather the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, just to get a little bit more of that AP so he can farm up in the jungle when he needs to as well. And you can see the CS differential there. You know, it's one way to catch up.
How Chinese of him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the, not standard, but a lot of Chinese players in the LPL end up doing that build to stack it, clear Wraiths. That's going to contribute more to his CS, and that's actually going to help him just clear out, get more damage, and then have enough time to just pick up the Wraiths, and Shorter Ace won't be in that area anymore.
Or the Wolves, if it will be. But yeah, Shorter Ace is actually not too perturbed by the fact that he's having to share a little bit of jungle, not just with his mid laner, but with the enemy jungler. Mimo's kind of been helping himself to a all-you-can-eat jungle buffet, but here comes Shorter Ace trying to bait this out. Rux just standing on still, but Solo King has been incredibly passive this game from what we've seen of him.
Yeah, Flash still available. They're going to have to get a really good setup here to make this happen. He does have his ultimate. He can stealth in. Rux is a little bit lower, so he'll get the stun.
Trying to make himself look tasty.
There he goes.
Here he goes. Got the ult on, but there's Shorter Ace jumping out of the brushes. Surprise, it's a Grasshopper, and Solo King is in a little bit of trouble. He's going to go down. That's Rux picking up the kill.
The bait there is so crucial, but that's going to ping Zenith to go straight for this dragon.
Yeah, that is like clockwork. 1-2. Almost gets stolen by Prototype. That would have been something, but Mimo, with the timed smite, able to secure that one for his team. But Final Five are fighting back.
Yeah, and Shorter Ace, he felt the pressure on him. He went for that top lane gank, and they didn't get anything for it on the bot side of the map. So it's 1-1, but a 600 gold advantage for Zenith.
Not for long. That tower will get taken down. So, you know, in all senses, it pretty close to evened out there, and the gold is just about bang even, only 200 differential. But right now, Rule 18 just hanging out mid with Gate, just trying to make sure they can make their presence known, and this is kicking into a pretty high gear mid game.
I didn't see the turret going down while all that was happening.
Yeah, it was a last-second thing, kind of. They didn't have the highest damage output together, but I think they were able to pull it off at the same time the Dragon was happening. But right now, Zenith is looking for this mid turret. Meanwhile, Prototype, Jinx is one of the best solo pushers in the AD carry game, but it's going to have to watch out because Frost is going to be able to clear this away. Yeah, a lot of damage on the tower.
When she reaches that turret, she's really good at taking it down.
Objective focus on this team right now. Yeah. Rule 18 has to be so careful. Those shock blasts are hitting harder and harder with the armor pen. Shield's going to be on, but it won't be for much longer. That tower's getting fired down, but they're trying to watch out for Gate. Shockwave is available, and they don't know where Shorter Ace is, and they're going to have to settle for a bit more poke. Again, Rule 18, though, he has to be careful. Yeah,
tower sieging here is definitely Easy's game of choice. They like these mid-game, late-game compositions on Zenith's side. They like to formulate them around what Easy's picked.
It's kind of an interesting strategy considering they also like those level 1 fights, or at the very least getting a little advantage, turning it into something that can go into a late game strat. Now here we go. We see Solo King trying to
he's just going to clear it out.
Yeah, he's going to be able to clear this ward now that he knows he's been spotted.
That shock blast into the fog of war actually hit Shorter Ace when he was at Wraiths. So he got
anything you can do to get sight.
Yeah, whatever you can.
You don't just need wards. There's plenty of ways to do it. Frost actually taking some poke out of Prototype, who's feeling pretty confident in this game now that he's been able to pick up some of his starting items here. Both AD carries not quite on the Infinity Edges just yet, but it's almost like a more traditional fight. I think we saw this several patches ago.
Look at that, the Solo King coming down from top lane. He doesn't have a turret. The ward coverage on that side isn't ideal for him. He could get flanked around, and actually you can see that Final 5, they're making their stand inside this jungle. They're trying to at least get vision of it.
This tower should get fired down pretty easy, but Shorter's on the run. Frost is going to be able to pop his ultimate, though. That's a lot of speed. Exhaust is down. Let's see if he can pull off that one. A teleport's coming in. Double teleports now. The choppers are down. Prototype, he's low, has to flash, and he's still getting away. Oh, he goes down finally. There's the wave out of K1. Shorter Ace and Rux on the run. Can they get the stun? They can. And now they're going to take their time about it, playing with their food. It's a double kill over to Solo King, and Rux is still running away. Rule 18, what can he do? He's got the Monsoon. He has to use it, but Mimo comes in, and now they're chasing Rule 18 down the line. 3 kills for none. Rule 18 has to book it out of there.
And Gate and Easy nowhere to be seen in that fight. Can Mimo hit this? It's going
to be rough. I mean, this tower still has some health on it, so I think they're going to be happy with the fact that they just were able to pull off those 3. That other tower is getting fired down. Zenith, though, really full throttle at this point.
Yeah, and Zenith are going to have to get more for this because it's only a 1,000 gold advantage at this point. They're going to try to go after this turret, try to make it even more, and I love that they're doing that, not showing hesitation in this very important match.
Yeah, excellent job at controlling the objectives this time. They've been in the enemy jungle, they've been in each of the lanes, and they've been able to take the better fight. So now grabbing themselves a couple thousand gold ahead of their opponents. It's only 16.5 minutes into the game, but they're feeling pretty confident on the side of Zenith.
Yeah, and what allowed that fight to happen the way it did was Prototype overextended, he used his exhaust, and then the TP behind him, because of how extended he was what cost them. The Solo King came out, he didn't care though. He was right on top of Flame Chompers, walked straight through them afterwards, Ravenous blocked the dots, the flash away, and that's a really, really big victory there for Zenith. That's going to allow them to dictate a little bit more in this mid-game.
And you can see Final 5 doing what they can to try and grab a little bit of gold back into this one, but the skill shots are flying left and right. Tower is defended, so Zenith is able to get here in time, and there is only two more outer turrets remaining. One for each side, well, two and then one. My math is pretty bad today, apparently, but there almost isn't one in the mid side here for Final 5. They have the tiniest of health bars on it. They really need to defend what they can, but it feel like this is kind of a lost cause in this mid lane. They should be looking for something else right now.
Yeah, Zenith have a better kind of 1 or 2 person skirmish composition. Like, if it's a 2-on-2, they're probably going to win. If it's a 5-on-5 straight from the get-go, Final 5 have more tools available to them to win that fight between the members of their composition. But Zenith, that was a perfect fight for them. They like that stagger in and not even have Gate, the Orianna, who's going to just suck them all in for that Super Mega Death Rocket, was really, really big in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a classic clear-cut chase, and they were able to just capitalize on the over-aggression of Prototype. You could see he likes to duel. He wants to make those things happen, and he is the one who calls the team fight, so he was making that audible for Final 5, but this tower, looks like its days are numbered. They are able to clear the wave away for now, but they still are just trying to scramble for position.
Yeah, at this point, Zenith, they know Dragon's up in 45 seconds. They're clearing out all of this. They have jungle vision control on this side, and they're going to take this blue as well.
Yeah, get anything you can. Oh, they're just going to leave the little lizards too. So BM.
it's a fantastic strategy against this team composition. Jace, he loves having that blue up. The Muramana's going to help him a whole bunch when he gets that.
Towers fired down.
Yep.
They get that outer, so only one that remains is the top, but it is, of course, 2 towers to 2. It's looking even in that department, but it really isn't. Zenith definitely taking the lead in this one. They don't have the hugest gold lead, but they are able to get a little bit more in just a minute. Dragon's up in 15 seconds. Final 5 cannot afford to let this one go.
Yeah, Easy just back to get himself boots and a pickaxe. He's going to make it to that Dragon fight off the acceleration gate, just transforming for the extra movement speed. But when he gets there, it's going to be a fight that Zenith, you know, they are at that point where they are pretty ahead. They're at 1,600-ish, 1,400-ish.
Yeah, Final 5's looking to bait him in, but, you know, we talked a little bit about Zenith having these kind of kited out comps and try not to expose themselves too much. Ooh. Oh, they almost saw Gate.
I don't know if they saw him with that ward coming down, if you saw it fast enough. Gate's a crucial member to have in this fight, but he has to back.
They're going to be able to take this Dragon without him there. I think Final 5 notices this. They have to give this up, and that was a really ill-timed back. You're right.
Yeah, the back timing was really bad there. When Easy took a much better back timing for his items.
Yeah, they really were able to do that in the perfect moment because, yeah, not only did he have the ability to get back to lane quickly, he had a little bit more movement speed plus the acceleration gate, but they knew that Final 5 were going to try to push up mid, and they had Nemo there to defend. They had Solo King around the side. It was really well played by Zenith. They are kind of coming together as a team right now.
Yeah, and they had the vision control on that right side of the map, so they knew where they were setting up for Dragon, but then the fact that he backed just was really, really confusing there. Like, he did want to have an item spike, and they would have less AP available to them for the Dragon fight, but if Dragon fight doesn't even happen, you give up that objective and you just let Zenith get even further ahead.
Yeah. When you do get a little bit flustered when things aren't going the way you expect them to go, you can start to make little mistakes, get capitalized on, and we do know that Final 5 is a team that sometimes is plagued by these small mental errors that turn into big things.
Yeah, Final 5, just talking to them, they have a bunch of nerves coming into these matches. They're extremely important, but a lot of these guys are really young. And Rux is the guy that has to tell everybody to calm down, you know, because everybody, sometimes nerves gets the better of them. Their comms can sometimes get really cluttered, and they end up just screaming and yelling.
Yeah,
but right now,
it's not very good for your teamwork effort.
No, it's definitely not. It's something that's counterintuitive. But right now, they need more clear communication. They need to have somebody set up what they're going to end up doing and when they're going to end up doing it, because Zenith, they're right on point today.
Yeah, this is one of the best they've looked in a while. And, you know, this is a team that has gone through some changes. They've had a couple of roster swaps, but they have been around in the scene, at least in name, for a little while now. And they have been showing here today so far that they mean business in this tournament. They're not just going to let themselves be considered. Well, they're not necessarily underdogs in this particular set, but if they were to move on, it'd almost certainly be.
Yeah, right now it's about as even as you're going to get in this tournament. It's the seed 7 and 6 for the ranked 5s ladder. And look at that,
starting the fight. They're going to be able to get that one off, but Gate's still walking away from it. The turret is down, but they're going to keep going for this one. Rux, he's going to get capitalized on right here, but he flashes away. Exhaust is down on him. They're trying to chase, but an escape from Final 5. That's going to be big.
Just to disengage there, the help of Janna. That looked like a fight that Final 5, you know, if they had set up for it appropriately, would have been able to take it to Zenith. But the kick backwards from Mimo was right on point, and just showing why they wanted that champion, Rengar, out of the equation as well, and putting Shorter Ace on the Kha'Zix, which is one of his fallbacks.
Nonetheless, they still have a pretty solid siege comp, and they have to be careful on the side of Final 5. They've taken a lot of abuse from that last one, Gate in particular, and so did Rux, but the minion waves, every single time they go through the cannon fodder, they're able to fire that down just a little bit more. So Zenith in charge of this game as they continue to siege down the mid.
And they have a really good siege composition. He's just going to keep poking, and there it is. Half HP on 3 members of Final 5, and they're just sticking around on this turret. They have to stagger their backs, but I don't know if they have the wave clear available for the dive that might come out here in just a second.
Do it. Oh no, Shorter Ace, Gate both blinking. The rocket's going to come in, but that was just a deterrent to clear some waves. They're still firing it down. They're tanking the shots, and now it's Frost. When your AD carry is able to tank it, you know something has gone horribly, horribly wrong for the other team. Shorter Ace and Gate can't afford to get back here. They're actually walking back to Fountain, and this tower is going to be done.
Look at that, the W max second, the hypercharge on Jace. Don't put any points into your ultimate, just go straight Q, straight W. 130% of your attack damage for 3 hits and gives you max attack speed. So you're doing 390% of your damage in a very, very short window, about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, that burst is incredible, and they have not been able to really avoid it. You see Final 5 grouping up here, but Zenith, they're the ones who have been able to avoid a lot of the skill shots. Since that level 6 immediate shockwave, we haven't seen a good one land from Gate And that has really been the story of these fights. It's been disengaged, it's been getting caught. That's really all that's happened. The kill counter is low, but the towers are starting to go in favor of Zenith in a pretty big way.
Yeah, he's going to have to up his game, maybe possibly acceleration gate.
Oh,
anyway,
jumped on.
Easy.
Yeah. Oh, they get the baits. Reverse around the side. Kickback. It's going to be Rule 18 they're chasing down. And the Hunters are getting hunted. That's Rule 18 going down the wave. He's going to get dodged out by Gape. Shorter Ace is going to be there as well. But now they are looking down this river, see if they can grab any other advantages.
There's some big problems here for Final 5, considering the team composition they created for themselves. Prototype, this guy, he loves to split push, right? Like, that's why he takes exhaust on every AD carry. But this is a team fight composition. He needs to be involved in these fights. That could have been really good for them if he was present. Gate got a really good shockwave. He almost killed Nami straight out. And then the superior range and the fact that Prototype has a red would have helped him take out Frost Delicious.
Yeah, they really haven't been collabing as best as you could see. From this side of Final 5, they've had some troubles. We mentioned how they may have nerves, and that could affect their comms. And we're going to see, well, backs are going to be fine. And Gate's going to discover, where'd my blue buff go?
Yeah, there's so much pressure on Shorter Ace, and he is the shot caller of the team. He's also extremely young. I think he's 17 years old.
Yeah, Prototype gets involved in that too, though. He's the one calling the audibles in the fights, and you can tell in that earlier engage when they went all in.
Exactly. How are you calling the audibles?
There's really nothing you can do about that. It's really strange that they've kind of decided to have him splitting. You usually don't want your AD unless it's somebody like Jinx to do that, because you want to be able to solo someone, but at this point, they feel like they don't have much of a choice in this, and that's really showing a lack of confidence on the side of Final 5.
Jinx is also very dependent on your front line and if it's present to peel for you. But at the same time, they don't really want to group up against Zenith's team composition to avoid the poke of Jace.
And there it is. Shield comes out in time.
But it's a composition that you have to kind of group up for on Final 5's side.
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult to win situation for them. So they're doing everything they can to apply pressure on a couple different lanes of the map. You saw the split push, now you saw Rux moving up there as well. But Zenith, they're controlling this one. The Dragon is live. They can take it whenever they want pretty much because Mimo is just already starting it. And you see, Final 5, they know this is happening, they have to, and they're trying to zone out, but they're not looking to take a fight here. Gate taking a huge shock blast to the face, and he has to back off now. This Dragon, again, gold in the pocket of Zenith.
Every Dragon in this game's fallen into Zenith's hands since that first one that they traded up top the Solo King for. Like, this is a really good game showing Zenith's objective control, and the fact that they picked this team composition for themselves and they played their win conditions, they aren't looking for the 5v5. They're kind of avoiding it. They're grabbing the objectives. When we first saw this come out, I was saying, Zenith, they're probably going to play around the objectives, try to poke people off of them, and they're doing a little bit of that, and they're avoiding the 5v5s because Final 5 aren't playing to their win conditions and grouping up for it.
Not only that, but Mimo kind of went with the program as well. We talked a little bit about how he likes to level 1 invade, do some really crazy things, and try to kill the enemy jungler. Well, up against the Kha'Zix, I think he kind of realized, hey, you know what? What if I just calm down a little bit? I go with the rest of the team's program, I steal objectives, I do what I can, and it's worked out so well for Zenith this game.
Yeah, and Shorter Ace is actually a level up on Mimo at this point in the game because he's been reserved to farming. Mimo's been putting pressure on the map. He's been taking Shorter Ace's buff, so Shorter Ace has been basically going to lanes, getting some experience, not getting too much for it, but the reason he's getting that experience is because Mimo's killing the people who are supposed to be taking it in the first place.
Yeah, so he might have a CS lead, but that's pretty deceptive. You look at the KDA across the boards, especially for those junglers, and you see some stark differences. Now, Baron being eyeballed for the time being, but no team really in a position to take that just yet. It's 27 minutes in, but if a team's going to try and bait this one out, it will be Zenith. They're moving with all 5 members close to this jungle.
And here's the thing, too, is despite the gold lead being in Zenith's favor by about 4,000, it's still not insurmountable for Final 5. They have a teamfight composition. If they can catch Zenith when they're 4 instead of their 5 members, it's very, very easy for them to take that fight. They have all the tools to come back. And if they can catch easy, then they can get that fight for themselves. And then they can stop the siege and they can counter siege. There's a lot of things here that Final 5 can do, but Zenith, they just have to stick with their program.
Yeah, they're really not making mistakes this time. And you look at the score across the board. Yes, they've given up a couple of towers, but that's all been counter pressure. Solo King getting killed, the sole kill that Final 5 has, they answered with a dragon. It has been a story of Zenith capitalizing on every little thing that they can find and creating edges for themselves because they're not as confident in the team fight. Now Frost, he's going to be able to spell shield away the shockwave, and now that that crucial spell is down, that's a huge telegraph over to Zenith that your team is not all synced up right now. Gonna get this gate. He might go down here. The wave's coming out from the zone. They get the flashes. Mimo picking up gate. They try to get the bubble on Prototype. They don't even need it because Easy gonna flash in for the killing spree. And he even gets a parting shot. Down on the bot side, Solo King Rux gonna continue to trade it out. But this looks like it is trending in the Swain favor, and this tower should go down. 28.5 minutes, another big one, a couple of catches, and Zenith is on the charge.
Gate just had some fire in his eyes when he saw Frostalicious use the spell shield on that ultimate. He's like, you're not getting away, and they completely turned that around with the baits. It's ridiculous how great this team looks from Zenith at this moment.
Yeah, they got the teleport on too, just to try to save a minion, and Solo King coming in there will be able to take down the inhibitor turret, firing down the inhib. There's really nothing Final 5 thinks they can do about this one. They're taking way too much abuse on the poke. Rux trying to answer back, but he just doesn't have the damage, and they give up an inhibitor almost for free there, and that's Zenith able to walk away.
And it looked like it's a very easy fight for them at that point. The TP coming in from the Solo King to allow them to just continue damaging the turret and keep that minion alive a little longer. And like I said, the Jace, the hypercharge, very, very low cooldown. I think it's about 3 seconds. It gets really low, and you build cooldown reduction. He has the Muramana complete. He's able to take these fights and chunk these towers incredibly quickly.
They're putting everything they can on him too, giving him every buff that Red was taken away. And then, look at that, even on Rux, even on one of the bigger members of this team, he's able to chunk him just a little bit more. And now Zenith is still in position to take this. They feel they can fight anywhere on the map. The top lane is exposed. Those super minions will be marching pretty soon. Yeah. And they're just looking for any little thing. Again, stay with the program. You're fine.
Yeah, 7,000 gold lead. It's just been edging more and more and more off of their just coordination in these team fights.
Now this time, Gates can pick up his blue, but yeah, I mean, there really haven't been full team fights. It seems like it's been anything that hasn't gone Zenith's way has really just been a story of, can we get out in time? Can we reset?
I can say with confidence there has not been a 5v5 team fight this game. Absolutely not.
It's been catches, chases. And, you know, this is one of the reasons you take a champion like Sivir. Yeah, that is kind of the throwback strat. We can run at you, but at the same time, they haven't really needed to. They've been able to just chase them down and get at least 1 or 2 kills and then turn that into an objective. And, you know, little things like that repeated, wash, rinse, that's all you need to do.
Yeah. It's been 5-on-4 for some of the fights, but it's never in Final 5's favor. The fights that are being taken are all Zenith. And Final 5, they seem to have 2 people who like to split push, but that's not what this team composition does. And it just seems like an anti-synergy in terms of their personalities and what they like to accomplish.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit scattered right now, doing whatever they can to try and defend up. They still have a number of towers on that bot and mid side, but they have to be careful defending those, and they also have to start taking things. They've yet to crack this inner shell, so Rux going to try to solo the Solo King, but I don't know how this one's going to end. It's a slap fest down there, but they're going to get a little bit of help in the form of Frost. They do see that one, so Rux on the run right now.
Ulti.
Can he get away? There we go. They're going to get that. The boomerang going to be dodged just barely 1 pixel away from taking it, but they're still chasing him down. Rux realizes he has to do something, but he can't do a thing at all. It's Rux going down, and he barely touched Frost.
Really good build there from Frostalicious. He goes for extra damage over getting armor penetration because there isn't any armor to have to penetrate through at this point. So Last Whisper wouldn't be as cost effective as the build that he's gone with the Bloodthirster.
Yeah, it's almost like seeing a bit of a throwback, seeing a Sivir, seeing a Bloodthirster.
Yep.
I kind of miss those days. This tower is going to get fired down pretty easily again. That siege is monumental, a massive play, and easy. He's got that big axe right now. He's going to be able to chunk anyone he wants, and this other inhibitor tower should go down pretty quick. They're still taking Shock Blast. Rule 18, he's got nothing left in the tank, and Solo King able to Zanya's out. The Shockwave, though, they might shut him down, and they do. It's going over to Prototype, so they get an answer back, but all the same, there are super minions on the Nexus right now, and they have to get back to defend. They've already lost a tower.
There's 2 super minions there. Frostalicious getting... dang. That's Prototype. It's so hard to read from so far away.
I know, right? It's almost like they're testing your sight. But this dragon, every little thing, Zenith is just grabbing everything on the map. It's not even greedy because they're able to trade so effectively. And that was the cost of being able to defend your inhibitor turret, to be able to pick somebody like Solo King off. Yes, he got caught, but what did they trade for? They got a Nexus turret because of super minions.
Yeah, and the fact that they're not going to get anything else off of it, no dragon, no Baron here for Final 5, but we might see them try to set up for one and make a desperation play.
Well, yeah, but you see Frostalicious, talk about 80 carry split pushing. Look at what he's doing right now, seeing if he can't fire down the last couple.
They're
going to trade for the Baron. Oh, but this is an interesting situation because they don't have full members. They might answer back, but this Baron could go over. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Final 5 with a desperation move. They get it, teleport on Rux,
they gotta get
and
out
they're going to get to the bot side. Yeah, they're in trouble here. This is going to be a chase down, but Mimo not going to connect on the Sonic Wave. All the same, Frost is able to escape, so interesting gambit there from Final 5, and they grab themselves a Baron.
Yeah, it's going to pay off, though, because when you have the Baron, you know, it goes without saying, enemy team can't get it now. So that's less pushing power. It's going to allow them to wave clear. They have Jinx, they have Orianna. They have really good wave clear available to them. They just have to avoid the poke of Gate, or sorry, of Easy. 4-letter names, mid laners.
Exactly. Well, Gate can poke as well. They have to avoid being caught up in those shockwaves, and that is the only way they've been really able to take people down this game. Solo King, for a second, it looked like he was going to get away. That Zhonya's was incredible to avoid the Super Mega Death Rocket AoE, but then they were able to pick him off. So again, off the back of that, they called a Baron, they went for it, you see zero hesitation. So even in the darkest moments, Final Five able to grab something back, and that saves them in this game for a few more minutes.
That's one of those moments where your shot caller goes, it's now or never. We either roll over or we sit in our base, clear a little bit, they get Baron, and then they come back at us stronger. Let's try to equalize that a little bit. 7,000 gold difference between them. Baron's going to give them about 4,000 gold worth of combat stats at this point in the game. So when they meet up, it's not as big a difference, and they're going to be able to have these waves pushing in towards them. They do have an inhibitor respawn. They have some naked inhibs, but can't. But now here's the thing. They're not going to be split pushing too much. They might be grouped more as 5 because they're all in the same place in their base, and that might actually help Final Five.
Yeah, and this is what they want, actually. They've wanted to take straight fights all game, and Zenith just hasn't been giving it to them. Hit and run in a lot of places, and now they're still able to push a lot of different ways, but it's difficult to do that into a Baron, so they've effectively kind of said, hey, if you want to push into us, that's fine, but you're going to have to take it on our terms.
Yeah, the only member to actually die on Zenith has been the Solo King.
Oh, this tower's going down pretty quick anyways. They did not get there to defend it in time, and they can probably walk away from this one. That was just a slow move there from Final Five. I don't think they expected that.
Well, they also didn't have Prototype. I said they weren't going to split push, but no.
They did. Rux is tanking up quite a lot of the return poke, but he's really the only one still trying to chase this out. So that's going to end, and they just pretty much get that one out for free. So Zenith, again, every little advantage they can grab, they will, and it's an 8,000 gold lead right now for Zenith eSports as they continue to try and move around the map.
And they're just going to go ahead, clear this out as much as they possibly can. That blue.
That blue has never been Final Fives.
It has been. I think Orianna picked it up once.
But it's
twice. Okay, so they got the first one, and Orianna got the one right before this one, I believe.
It is definitely not the Final Five jungle so much on the bot side, though.
They don't need it too much, though. Orianna has the max cooldown reduction, and she has Athene's, as well as a Baron buff ticking on her at this moment. So it's not a huge loss, but the fact that Gate gets it, he can just continually spam, not have to worry about mana, uses Burrow mana.
They do have good wave clear here. As you can see, Prototype able to rocket down a good chunk of those waves. So if the siege is stalled, if Zenith is unable to push in with all their members, Final Five does have a chance to keep this game going as long as they can until they start ramping up. But it seems like they've been a little bit pushed back there. I think they need Prototype to start getting some kills in his pocket.
Yeah, speaking of kills in their pocket, you know, Rux, he has one for his team, and he's kind of invested that into a Last Whisper on Aurelia.
Yeah, an interesting
choice. It's very,
there.
interesting, because he's not going to get too much use out of it. A lot of her damage comes from true damage. The Blade Surge, you know, that's physical, but then her E is magic damage. Her Equilibrium Strike. So he's just going for some auto attack.
I think he's changed his mind quite a lot this game. You see him sitting on the Negatron cloak. He bought that, like, I think, third item.
Yeah, he's just trying to get some resistances in his pocket to deal with the Solo King, but not dedicate his entire arsenal to that, because he's going to be eating a lot more physical damage from the team overall.
True that. And they've just kind of, again, trying to answer back whatever Zenith is doing. But they have been able to stop Zenith from getting any more advantages, although now Frost, again, AD carry split pushing. This is not necessarily something to try at home, but these guys have been making it work pretty well, or maybe not. Frost could be in trouble here. They are going to get to his rescue, and there is the answer on back. They want to try to find some damage onto Rux. Solo King teleporting in. They find Shorter Race. He cannot get involved in that. His team wasn't there, and they're forced to blow the Monsoon of Rule 18. Shock Blast going to split the uprights.
Look at that, just trying to wave clear it out. There are no more inhibitor turrets available to Zenith on the bot or the top.
Yeah, they can only take the middle one, but again, this anti-siege is pretty good. The Baron buff is down now. Dragon's going to spawn up in a minute, so they will be eyeballing that just at this point to deny the gold. I mean, there's still some items to buy, but they're getting towards that point where the gold doesn't mean as much.
Yeah, so Zenith only, since they don't have those bottom or top inhibitor turrets, they have many options here. They can push mid, they can split push with somebody on the sides. You know, they are going to want Jace in their main siege, but they can split push here very easily because you don't have to deal with the turret.
Well, you have Solo King too. Once his teleport comes back up off the cooldown, it will be a little longer since he did come in on a ward. He can get involved in this really easily. Now, Rux still has the teleport, so if they split off for the time being, it's going to not be the easiest thing to do. But Dragon is 18 seconds away. This should be a no-brainer right now for Zenith. I don't think Prototype and anyone else on Final Five are really interested in contesting this. You see Shorter Race already backing. I think what Zenith wants to do here is make sure they can secure the next Baron to end this game.
Yeah, they're setting up for that Dragon. Final Five have not showed up to any of these Dragons in this game, and it's really concerning considering their team composition. allowing themselves to get poked off of them. They're not having the vision control of that area early enough.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You need to be able to contest things, and they haven't been confident in just a straight all things equal 5v5. They've been able to defend their base. When their back's against the wall, they're definitely performing, but you can't win the game from inside your base.
That's true. I mean,
maybe if you let the minions kind of do all the work, you could, you could hope for the best. But it
there
seems
are some
a little
scenarios. Somebody could forfeit too.
That's true. That's true. That's next level strats right there.
At the same time, though, it's about a 10,000 gold lead, or approaching it here for Zenith eSports, and they've just been slowly getting this over time. But once you reach 6 items, which people are getting to that point, you're not going to get any stronger than that, and you have to fight. You have to take it to them before that, because you basically hit a ceiling, you buy some potions, and then the enemy team is like, okay, now we're actually catching up to you despite the gold difference. It's a really big thing here. So if this next Baron ends up going to Final 5, and also fighting in the Baron pit is something you don't want to do as this team composition of Zenith.
Yeah, I mean, that Orianna Shockwave, it almost can't miss once you're inside that pit, and that is the issue. So we'll see if they end up dancing for this one, but again, Final 5 has been so reluctant to take things, and instead of trying to close that gap, it's actually gotten a little wider. We're at a 10,000 gold deficit. You would think that's like almost a shoe-in for Zenith, but there's definitely still the chance here for Final 5 because they have been a little bit more proactive going forward. They're going to take a little bit more control of their jungle back. The resistance is coming into play, but see if they have enough in the tanks. Easy going to try and annoy Rux, but he gets the big Wraith anyways.
They're just trying to get the ward control, the vision control for themselves on Zenith eSports side. This Baron means a lot here. There is a minion wave down bottom that's going to start pushing into that inhib. They have to go send somebody to clear it, so they're going to send Rux. He has the TP available, but just ward fights at this point in the game. They're trying to test each other.
Oh, they're going to two-man this Baron. Yeah, this is...
Jace's damage.
This is really, really gutsy, but it's working out. Rule 18 has no idea. He's the only one in the area.
He has some idea.
He's going to go, but he gets the vision on it, but it's a little bit too late. The kick's already out. Mimo says, goodbye, see you later.
Shorter.
Oh, he gets it, but nearly shorter. Ace comes in and says, okay, nope, out of there. He's going to flash back over the wall 1 second earlier, and he could have gotten it.
And that Jinx rocket was really close to taking it as well. Prototype throwing that out. The vision from Rule 18, almost sacrificing himself there.
Yeah, I mean, that was, again, it was just an inch from being worth. They could have pulled that one off, but they realized just a little bit too late. So now Zenith has the Baron in their pockets. They have the impetus to go forward on this one. And again, they keep growing this gold lead.
Yeah, Mimo and Easy have just been synergizing so well this game to keep pressure on shorter Ace. And you can see that duo coming up big there. Again, man, it just blows my mind how much synergy this mid laner has with his jungle at this level of play. Because they definitely seem completely in sync with one another. As they go into the jungle, they keep down the shot caller of Final 5. They make their own calls. Mimo, he does not let up.
No, not at all. Every single chance he gets, he is proactive in making things happen. But I'm in awe at how much damage Easy is able to do on this Jace. 3-0, has this almost full build in his pocket, and it's just insane. You take one shock blast and goodbye health bar.
Yeah, and a big thing about this too that I want to touch on is they set up for this from champion select because they banned out the Rengar and first picked the Lee Sin for themselves, forcing shorter Ace onto a champion like J4 or Kha'Zix that he would have fallen back on. So they knew that this was coming out for them. And I love that fact that they set themselves up for that from champ select. They dictated that and said, this is how it will play out in the game. And it's doing just that for them. When a team comes into champion select and is like, all right, we'll try something. And then they get to the game and they're like, okay, it's not as good as we thought. These guys definitely have their stuff down with this composition and this like synergy between them.
Yeah, and here we go. They're starting to march up towards this inhibitor. They know they can get in here pretty soon. Don't have the largest minion wave behind it, but they do have that 5-man team. They're just careful and cautious not to check in until they know their enemies are already in a weakened state. And you have Frost. He's continuing to split this down the side, able to clear those waves so effectively. Shorter Ace coming to the party, but they're still pushing up the top side. Mimo's here for the defense. That tower's already at half health. The inhibitor's going to get fired down, or pretty close to it, as Final 5, again, scrambling inside their own base to come back into this one. Zenith is really running this game at this point, and it's nothing on Final 5, but the fact that they gave up so many crucial buffs and advantages all around the map.
Yeah, and Sivir is a champion that can split push really easily. But look at that.
They're going to chase. They got Solo King. They might be able to take him down, but will they be able to answer back? There's the wave. There's the Monsoon. Solo King still in here. They send Shorter Ace in. They are going to get the double bubble, and that is going to be a turret picked off in the mid side. Frost able to get that one, and Mimo doubling up. They almost get this inhibitor, but again, they're just stalling them away. They're poking them down to death, and this is exactly what Easy and the rest of Zenith love to do. Inhibitors down. That's going to be one pickup. They can easily take the top side. This game is close to ending right here. Zenith looking for the lead.
And look at that, the TP coming out. Throwing out the chompers. Not quite. But this inhibitor, they got the middle one.
They don't want to check. There's the shockwave. There's always the game-changing shockwave possibility, and they don't want to take that. But the poke is unreal. Every single time they get in there, they're able to return more damage than they get. That inhibitor still regenning very slowly, half its health still about there, and Prototype trying everything it can desperately to clear these waves. Frost taking some damage, but they have so much sustain. K1, they're on this full build. This game, it's looking like it's just slowly eating away at Final 5, and they're doing everything they can to stop that.
Oh, you can just look at the items that Rule 18 has for himself. He has almost nothing in comparison to K1, and that just shows how much global gold has fallen into the hands of Zenith here. Also, he went for the Ruby Sightstone. None of these extra things, but look at this, just the poke. Zenith trying to go for poke. Final 5, they want the team fight. You know, there's still a chance, but they have this super minion wave coming in the mid.
Oh,
it looks like it might be now or never.
Oh, they might go for it, but they're going to back off. The rocket comes in, actually. It's not going to be enough to really take much more than a chunk out of Solo King's armor. He is pretty low. Ben caught a lot of these times, but they've been using him as this massive AP tank. And here we go. They're looking to fire down this one again. Gate, half his health, Rule 18, trying to send out the Howling Gales when he can. Mimo actually takes some poke. They're going to go for the fight. They catch Mimo. They jump on him. The wave's out. It's Easy, though, going to return the damage. Back on a shorter race. Rux is going to go down here. Almost, he's still running away from this one. Prototype, it's a double kill going over to Easy. They find even more for that, and that's going to be Solo King picking off that turret. The final one's going to fall. The Nexus will surely be there, and this game number 1 is going to Zenith eSports.
And Zenith playing perfectly to their win conditions. Final 5, they got a 5v5 team fight at the end, but they didn't have Orianna Shockwave available, and just a lot of things happened way before that fight. That was a fight you needed to take at like 17 minutes, or that second dragon. Is really, really just disorganized play there, and a lot of that was the pressure that they put on Shorter Ace. So I think the combination of Mimo and Easy, top tier right there in this match.
Absolutely, and you're right. Final 5 needed to take that fight, but they needed it about 20 minutes earlier. Yeah. And as a result, they just weren't able to do a whole lot, and they got edged out. Gold game, everything. You mentioned the fact that the support player in Final 5 had absolutely nothing in his pocket. He had hardly any gold. The global, they gave up so many dragons. They gave up that one Baron. Barely were able to check it in time. Just a massive effort, and Zenith rightfully takes that game number 1.
Yeah, and it is a best of 3, so you know there are going to be more games coming up here. But when they swap sides, Shorter Ace, he might get a jungler that he's more comfortable on. There might be more top laners available because there were 3 top lane bans thrown that last game. So I want to keep an eye on those matchups because the top lane might get a little more sticky, and also that jungle, Shorter Ace might get something he's maybe a little bit more comfortable on. But I think Mimo, regardless, is still going to try to take pressure on him. Yeah,
it definitely shows that Zenith has a lot of tricks up their sleeves. You know, Solo King was typically that guy that would go and try to 1v1 you all day. This time he played much more reserved, but he played for his team. He almost let himself get caught to try to bait those fights when they knew that Final 5 were really, really low.
He let himself get caught.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he still survived half the time. The Zhonya's Hourglass, that's a useful item, you know.
Yeah, it's very useful. He's like, I'm going to get caught. I'm going to Zonya's Hourglass. I'm going to Rylai's Crystal Scepter. You know, that's great.
Slow
He's
you down.
As durable as he can be during those fights. And he'll heal himself while he's Zonya's too. So.
Exactly. So, I mean, really, really good play all around from Zenith, and we'll see if they can do it again. But again, you mentioned red side this time. Do Final 5 prioritize that jungle pickup?
I would think so, because you saw Zenith prioritize a jungle pickup there to shut down Shorter Ace, and definitely showed in the pressure on the map. So I think that's what's going to end up happening here.
All right. Should be a pretty solid strategy from them. You know, again, we saw some interesting AD carry picks. Nothing really against on the side of Final 5. I think that taking the exhaust Prototype didn't really... It didn't hurt him as much. The heal might have helped him get away from situations, but when you're playing a champion like Jinx, you're kind of all or nothing anyways. And you could see that had he been just a little bit better on the timing, or had he like realized when collapses were going to happen, that might have been a very different story in the bot lane.
Yeah, that exhaust, he used it about once or twice, overextended in that bot lane. And that was the fight that really just let Zenith run away with the game when they got, I think, 3 kills from none.
Well, yeah, and then they just pretty much kept on pushing things up. But again, they never wanted to take a straight fight at all. They didn't need to. Easy was firing down people from afar. And that's something that you have to watch for if you're Final 5 in this next game. Do you think that merits a Jace ban even?
I think it might, but the fact that they're going to be on that blue side, they're going to have more things to ban out and kind of leave the top lane bans to the enemy side.
Well, we'll have to see in just a moment when we do get into champion selection for game number 2. I wonder if it'll be a closeout there. I know Zenith looked pretty strong, but Final 5, they're a team that's done a lot of homework. I think they can instantly learn from this one and maybe get their nerves a little bit calmed down. Rux is probably talking to them all.
Yeah, and actually before we get into those games, we're going to actually have a quick break. It's going to be about 5 minutes before that. So don't go anywhere, you guys. We'll be back with more LCS expansion tournament action right after this.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LCS expansion tournament. We just saw game number 1, Zenith eSports. A pretty fairly long, drawn-out match, whopping up on a Final 5, but they have a best of 3 to go. Yeah, still a couple games.
They played it really slow and steady, which I really liked from them because they didn't want to have those 5v5s happen very early on. They ended up getting such a great gold advantage from their play around Dragon, their objective control, and poking people around, that they were able to take that very, very easily and methodically.
Yeah, and a massive effort from Easy. He just was insane, but we'll see if they can do it again. We're going pretty quickly into pick spans, I think, in just a second.
Yeah, it's coming up right here. I'm really curious as to what happens because they're swapping sides here, and that's going to be really big. So we saw all top lane bans. We ended up seeing the Rengar banned away, and then the Lee Sin first pick. Not going to have that luxury this time. They might actually end up banning their own Lee Sin, but then that's going to leave more top laners open. They have to ban away things like Vayne, which they took away from Prototype last time to try to get him on something a little more uncomfortable, and the Gnar might be up for first pick here.
Yeah, it's very possible. Jace, of course, was taken off the board. They definitely fear that one. Lee Sin now banned on the red side as Zenith takes that one. We won't see those two champions in the game. Rumble, kind of a no-brainer as well, but again, Gnar's still an option. So is Maokai. There's a lot of top laners available this time, and Soul King might be happy.
Yeah, I'm really, really wondering like what this last ban is going to be because they banned out the Rumble from the Solo King. He also plays a lot of things like Ryze and Renekton and Shyvana, but those haven't been in the meta for a long time. They leave Gnar up, they might have to first pick it themselves, or they might get a Maokai.
We do see the Rengar ban, and then there's Gnar, so that does come out at the very end of it all, because I think they realized they weren't going to get it, but Solo King has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. The Rengar out, as well as the Lee Sin. Leaves Kha'Zix on the table again, but what else would Short Race like to pick up here, and will they even prioritize that jungle? I think they kind of have to at this point.
Yeah, at this point, he might go with the J4, we'll have to see, but it's going to be the Janna priority here, because they said, you know, a lot of top-tier things for their players have been off the field. Look at that Mimo, he's going to take the J4 away.
Wow.
They're putting so, like, that was insta-lock there.
They're
want
him on Kha'Zix.
So much pressure on this guy. Look at that, they take away the Jinx. They're just taking the champions away from Final 5. They're saying, your champion pools are so small, we're going to throw these 3 bans at you. We're going to take away, like, 1, 2, and then boom, and then you have nothing. It's ridiculous how well Zenith is playing this champion.
This is hard for Final 5. This is really hard for them to answer back, and you can see they're really thinking, where do we go from here? Okay, the Lulu hover right now. I can't help but thinking that that would probably be Gate. I mean, it's an option for Rux, but it's really not been as strong for a while, and I think they're kind of fumbling, thinking, okay, what do we do from here? Because we've just lost a massive amount of our champion pools.
Yeah, and having these small champion pools is a really big problem. Like, you can play the stuff that is really like S tier. You're like, oh, we play the Gnar, we play, you know, these things, we play the Janna. That's fine. When you have somebody who has a small champion pool, and junglers are especially susceptible to that, considering that there isn't a huge jungle pool at the moment that people are like, yeah, these 5 champions are really great. It's kind of like 4 or 3. And then you take those away, really narrow it down for them.
Yeah, and you do see the Sewer Rat coming out. That's going to be a prototype this time with his Jinx taken away, but they've comboed up with Braum on the side of Zenith. That is kind of an unsung combination. Lucy and Braum used to be incredibly strong, but the attack speed bonus on Jinx Q is incredibly effective at comboing up for those stuns, and we could see a pretty bruisery lane.
Yeah, and the big thing about that is you'll get the stun from a long range. Even if you're just like 1, 2, then they go away, you can get the fish bones on them from a long range. It's enough duration to throw some chompers in front of them, close that distance. So this composition is something that you're going to have a little more protection for. And I also really like the fact, that they have that Braum, and they're going to be able to stop the Orianna ball sometimes, because you can't command attack through that. It actually stunts it, and it stops it in front of you. So if he wants to command attack Shockwave, he's not going to be able to get that off.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for him too, and it looks like they are dipping pretty deep into the jungle pool right now. Short Ray is going to be bringing out the Nocturne. It's not something we've seen in a while, and they have a potential ball delivery system there. They also have the Maokai, which is going to give them that, so they really want to find those fights, but they're going to have a rough laning phase. Twitch is not the strongest laning champion, and they're up against a Jinx Braum lane.
Yeah, once again, Final 5, they have this team composition for themselves that is very 5v5 oriented, and I love the fact that Gate, you know, he's back on that Orianna. He had a pretty okay Orianna game in terms of farm, but his shockwaves are not on point. 1 or 2 people every time they were getting flashed away from because they weren't over and over again. But here's the thing, is now he has a lot of ball delivery systems. Twitch can do it with the submarine ball right on top of them. Maokai is going to be able to twisted advance on somebody and guarantee that they are locked up in it. So this is a very dragon fight-oriented team composition here for Final 5. Mid-game power that transitions into late game. And here's the thing, is that there's even more late game power here from Zenith. So there's some timers here for both, where Final 5 is going to be a little stronger in the dragon fights, but Zenith is going to have more picks with Syndra, and they're also going to have Braum and J4 backing that up. So it's a little more picky versus, well, I guess it's opposite. Hey, that, since it's backwards, this team over there, I can do this now. This team over there, that one over there.
I'll just back away from
very team fight oriented. Yeah. This team right here.
You've got Kassadin too on Solo King, and that has been something that they've been interested in playing for a while. I think
I had too much fun with that. I had way too much fun with that.
No, it's okay. We can have fun. This is, you know, this is
no fun allowed.
Oh, fine. All right.
No, it's okay.
I thought it was going to be fun, but anyways, I guess I was wrong about that. As the timer ticks down, we've got two, again, very starkly different and characteristic comps. Zenith has talked about the fact that they like to play very versatile, but they know this team. They know Final 5, and they know that they don't want to face them head-to-head. Grab advantages little by little, see what they can do, and just try to chip away at those advantages and lock them down. Don't let them have any gold. Looks like they can do that with this comp. It's just all in the delivery.
Yeah, and I definitely think that they both have different win conditions, and it's very distinctly different. So we're going to see these teams kind of playing to their strengths again. I definitely trust that Zenith knows what they're doing after that first game. Kassadin top for the Solo King. You know, he's become a top laner for a while now.
Absolutely. Especially we've seen it in Korea, a lot of other places. And yeah, well, that's Champion Select. We're going to be loading up onto the Rift in just a moment. But again, guys, want to remind you, tweet us at LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS expansion to let us know what you think, performances and predictions, and all those things that you would like to tell us. Get a conversation going. We'll read it. Maybe not on air, but we'll read it.
Yeah, I'll definitely read it. Not on air, but I'll read it. I'll see what you guys think about these things. Who you think won Champion Select and all that good stuff. But this set so far, Zenith just looks like they have the upper hand. But I do think Final 5, they've had the tools to win. They just need to get their shot calling more in order and just take a deep breath, because they're panicking. They're using their abilities too quickly. That's a big thing with Orianna, is you wait for the perfect opportunity. We saw him use his shockwave on Frost. Didn't even make sure that that guy didn't have Spell Shield available, and he was just able to Spell Shield it just very easily.
Yeah, and you can see Final 5 already wanting to do something early on. They know that Zenith has this tendency to make some early plays. Mimo could try for some aggression in the jungle, but they're going to be ready for it if he does check in that brush. That is a pretty deadly place to be. Rux is just tossing a couple saplings out, making sure they don't come up through the top side. But this time, again, Zenith, they're mixing it up from what they've been doing in scrims. They're not going for anything early, and they're making Final 5 expect that, and that just wastes their time.
Hey, when somebody has a very distinct pattern or a very distinct play style, like you said, Zenith, every time they play, they have level 1'd every single time, and they're not.
Sometimes the mind games are the real strategies, and
it's like, what if Prototype ended up taking Barrier this game or Heal?
Well, no, that's crazy. That would never happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that not at all. And you can see, yeah, there you go. So he should be in a pretty decent dueling situation with Twitch, but they need that 5v5. Now, Mimo's heading up to the top. They might actually go for a delayed invade here, but they're going to run directly into Final 5 if they do that. Gate is the only one not with the party, and he could be there pretty soon. They're going to let Solo King hang out in front. But again, this could be bloody.
Both these teams are reading each other really well right now, except if they face check this.
They might do it. Solo King, he's looking tasty. Uh-oh, they're going to look for the chase. They get that out. The sapling, yeah, they're going to see this one. They're going to try this. They're a little sandwiched here, though. This could be a problem. Rule 18 taking a lot of poke. Solo King as well, and that may have just telegraphed a potential lane swap. Looks like it's not going to happen now. Prototype and Rux on the run. They're going to get that winner's bite proc out. I think they have it. They have this done. They might find it. It's First Blood, and that is actually going over to Easy as they pick up Prototype. So that is a good reason to have a Braum level 1.
It's also a really good reason to use your flash if you're Twitch. Because you're going to give up that blue buff. You give up a lot of pressure. Like, granted, your First Blood isn't worth that much anymore. 4 assists, everybody gets a little bit of experience, so they'll hit it earlier in lane, and they're going to get themselves this blue. They're going to have to trade on the opposite side, and it is a lane swap here for Zenith.
Yeah, and you know, this is, in a lot of interesting ways, this isn't a terrible move for them because, yeah, maybe they have a stronger lane in general, but Braum does have some trouble before 6. You want to get Frost on Jinx up to a pretty comfortable level anyways, even if they should be able to edge out Prototype and Rule 18. But at this point, they actually might go for a fast push. We see the Jungle Buddy system here. Mimo going to be comboing up with the Solo King. They're not even interested in that bot side for the time being. And talk about throwbacks. We haven't seen this for a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty much standard. When you do a lane swap, you just have the top laner just roam around with them. You know, not much has changed despite the patches being 5 different than what we played on Worlds.
Yeah, that's true. If they had gone for like a fast push or something, that'd be a little bit different, but you're right. This is a little bit more normal as they don't really need to worry about getting down there early. You can see the slow push from Prototype. They're not going to be interested in poking the tower down too hard unless they have a whole minion wave backing it up, as you see. And there we go. Nemo's going to be able to pick his own red up as well. So with all of that, double buffs for both the junglers this time, no shenanigans in there, and you see everything else is pretty much normal after the lane swap situation, and we're setting up to probably be a much calmer game so far.
It's going to be calmer in the early game. I'm pretty sure that when these dragon fights start coming out, though, you can see the composition here for Final 5, despite giving up that early kill. He's still going to have his flash, right? So you use that. You know that Braum doesn't have his, so if there is jungle pressure on that side, we'll have to see. But they are going to let Jinx, they're going to let Frost solo farm that top lane. He did kind of hard carry in terms of assists last game off the back of the poke, because it was just poke, poke, poke with Jace, run in with Sivir. So now they kind of have more of a picky composition.
Yeah, this is just a little bit different. Of course, a lot of CC train if they need it, but they have to hit that magical level 6 before they'll really get the explosive potential. And now Frost to duel this one out with Rux. It shouldn't be too much trouble, but the tree has quite a lot of sustain, and Arcane Smash will make him think twice about checking into that. But, yeah, you know, they let the support roam down with Solo King, so, you know, that's also pretty standard stuff as well, but they need to let Caston kind of get up to that later level anyways. He's going to have a pretty rough laning time against Prototype and Rule 18, being melee and all.
Yeah, and a big reason that he wasn't able to trade up top is because there was just such a huge minion wave in favor of Rux that when Frost auto-attacked, he was taking a whole bunch of minion damage on top of it. But look at this, the roam coming up from Easy and Mimo into that top lane. They're looking for Rux. They're going to get seen by this ward, though. They know it's there, but they're willing to take this risk. Yeah,
he's going to be able to walk away from that one for the time being. Almost gets stunned, actually has to dodge out of that one. And he's actually doing a pretty good job at avoiding skill shots. Finally going to take a little bit of damage, but that really doesn't accomplish too much. And Easy gave up some lane pressure for that one. Now there's some dueling going on in the bot side, but Prototype surely going to get the better of that one, and he makes them go back. Solo King, this time he's not living up to his name when he's in the duel lane.
So I was talking about how Zenith are taking away the champions of Final 5, but the fact that they picked the Twitch and then they picked the Braum, I said I love the Braum pick, and the second reason that I really like it, aside from the fact that, you know, I mentioned before, he is able to stop the Twitch spray and pray through, or sorry, rat-a-tat-tat.
Through the Unbreakable,
appease everybody with that.
And not just that, he's also able to do it, like you mentioned, on the Orianna Ball. I mean, it's a pretty good counter choice in general. Braum has always been that flexible anti-engage as well as somebody who can force a fight. Now Frost, he's in a little bit of trouble here. Doesn't realize there's a Nocturne in that one, and he has to run away, but he's getting feared. Flame Chopper's down, doesn't even matter. And that Shorter Ace going to answer with a kill.
Shorter Ace getting one of his first kills of the entire series. Just coming up to that top lane, having the gank assistance there from Maokai. And Rux, he wasn't doing the standard, I'm just going to keep roaming around. He's like, I'm able to farm in this lane. I'm Maokai, I'll just auto-attack. I'm going to be perfectly fine. And then Shorter Ace gives him the help that he needs, and they free him up. And they aren't even going to return with the Dragon on Zenith's side, like last game. But now, they're able to have this pressure. Just a ton of pink wards here from Zenith too. Like, I was watching that, and they put a lot of emphasis on the ward control. Like, the Solo King has a pink ward. Their support, K1, he's had that pink ward forever. He just hasn't been able to push out in that bot lane, because both those members with pink wards have been down there. So they're waiting for Dragon. They're waiting for something that they could set up for, and now they're lane swapping it back. And here's the thing is Frost, he's going to clear this wave out. He's going to continue to push. He already backed and got his pickaxe.
Yeah, so he's a little bit ahead right now, just on the up and up, and he's going to force Prototype to do the same thing now. So you see him moving away. May not pick up a pickaxe, but he's going to back off for the time being because Rule 18 is also not there. Now Rux and the Solo King fated to clash once again. They're going to just poke each other down, but for the time being, it's really just a wet noodle fight until they get to that later point. Dragon, they're looking for it, pinging that they want to get a little bit more vision control. 7 minutes, still a little bit early, but they might be able to contest it. And there is some vision here. They're not going to spot that one ward, so they will be aware of this. But again, Final 5 is doing nothing to stop this. They're not moving in. They're not collapsing. They're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, the problem here is that if they show up to this fight, there's a level 6 on Jinx. There's level 6 on Easy. Gate has no mana. He's level 7 just pushing in the mid. He wouldn't be able to ultimate even if he wanted to. And Prototype hasn't backed. His back timer's off. He didn't expect Frost to show up that early and at level 5, so he backed up, and instead of backing, he went to the double golems. He went to go get some vision, so he's just sitting on that Doran's Blade still as opposed to the pickaxe. So if they showed up to that fight, less combat stats, less levels, less ultimates, not a good fight for Final 5.
And it's all a matter of timing. Zenith able to hit those perfectly. Now Rux wants to go in here. He has shorter ace, and Solo King might be in a little bit of trouble. He can take a solo fight, but not a 2v1. Rux going to flash away from the tower damage as he took a lot of hits on that before he was able to get a kill. But excellent work right there, and another kill in the pocket of shorter ace. Yeah,
no flash used from the Solo King, and also he didn't have his ultimate up yet. And I was talking about how the ultimates were so crucial during that dragon fight. Turns out more ultimates, more money in the top lane.
Apparently, yep. Still need to hit that magical level 6. You saw Rux was able to do it, got the Vengeful Maelstrom on, and as a result, they will be able to pick off that turret, get a little bit of extra gold into their pockets. So with that, pretty much counteracts the dragon, but all the same, Zenith still finding what they can. This time, Shorter Ace has really been trying to beat up on Solo King, though.
Yeah, and he did that last game, too. Well, he's just trying to beat up on the top lane in general and try to get Rux going.
Yeah, that really is kind of one of the keys to success, or it has been.
Did it last game, too.
Yeah. I mean, he was spotted out a lot, so he wasn't really able to get as involved. But this time, despite the pretty solid vision, as you mentioned, from Zenith, they've really been doing it around objectives they tried to take. Last game, it was much more of a proactive, Mimo is going to make sure you never go unseen. He is Big Brother. This time, it's been a little bit more
Mimo.
haphazard.
Mimo is just like, I'm over the wall! Ah!
You can't escape. Yep. So Easy going to be able to grab himself a blue buff. And again, they continue this trend of trying to take little advantages where they can. But this tower has its days numbered. Prototype and Roulette Team able to combo up and finish that one off on the back of a pretty big minion wave. But even with 2 towers to none right now, Zenith still looking okay. They just have to stem some of this really quick pushing pressure that Final 5 is throwing out.
Yeah, level 6 is coming out here. They know that Frost doesn't have his flash because he used it previously up in the top lane to escape from Rux. And if they keep that timer, they will know. So the paranoia is going to be extra effective here, and also the fact that Prototype will be able to stealth up that far. So now they're going to have to play really safely on the side of Zenith for that AD carry.
Yeah, it's going to be a touch-and-go game. And there's actually a slight lead here because of the tower gold from Final 5, but with nothing else to take on the bot side of the map, there's really no reason for them to be here. Short Race was looking for, potentially a lane gank, but it's kind of hard to gank somebody when the tower's already gone.
Yeah, they have to back and just get some items for themselves. There'll be a little bit of a power spike here for Final 5 over Zenith eSports. But Zenith, they've invested a lot into the ward control, the ward game, the vision in terms of those pink wards all across the inventory and the greens. They just have to place them down and get objectives off them. But Dragon was taken, so they're good.
Yeah, Final 5 has placed a lot of their own wards too, just trying to make sure they don't get invaded. This time they've had a pretty good job of keeping wards out of their own jungle, so Shorter Ace has been less sighted, but if trends continue, we might see a healthy dose of Nocturne in the top lane.
Yeah, and having Cast Challenger, for the past year, I really have to commend both of these teams, regardless of win or lose, that they both actually have really good vision control. Last game, Final 5 was really lacking there, and Zenith really just played their win conditions, but these guys understand, League of Legends at a really high level, and I appreciate the fact that they're playing as a team and not as solo QE. As I've seen in the past.
These are also the mid-tier teams, too. It seems like everybody's game has been upped this year, and it's been incredible to see the Vision game especially evolve. So, yeah, coming out of these teams, some of them have been together for a reasonable amount of time. Some of them have been not as long, but it really has been an overall leveling up of the game across the board. You can see it coming to Zenith here. Here we go.
And look at that.
Oop, goodbye, Roll 18.
He's just completely caught out and gone. And a big reason that they've all upped their play is during this offseason, a lot of teams get to scrim LCS teams because they don't want to give each other strategies. They don't want to show themselves to somebody they might possibly be facing. And same thing with LCS teams. They don't want to start the season and be like, whoa, wait a second. We've been scrimming these guys this entire time. They know us. So they've been able to whip new things out against LCS teams, and LCS teams have been up the level of the challenger scene as well. As well as LCS players who have dropped out and still want another taste.
Yeah, we have a lot of players that have kind of had that LCS experience as well across the board in this tournament.
Rux.
Yep, he's had some as well. So, and even if they haven't been competing in it, you're right. They've been able to scrim against those teams, and I've had it said from several of these teams talking to them that they consider every one of these matches just like, in the words of I think I was talking to Enemy eSports manager, every game is like we're playing against Cloud9. They want to think that we're not going to give any little thing up, and we're going to scrim against the best teams so that we then can pull something off against these teams that we also consider to be at that level. The line is blurring there.
Well, it should be, because 2 of these teams are going to end up in the LCS.
Absolutely.
And be playing against Cloud9. Not every game, but a couple times.
We'll see what happens. It could be one of these guys. I mean, so far, Zenith, they're a game up. This time, they're a little bit less proactive, trying to push down objectives on the map. There has been some good ward coverage from Final 5. I think they've realized some of the mistakes they made last game. But Zenith is just as cautious as ever in taking straight 5v5s. That is just playing into the Final 5 strategy. but they've been able to avoid it so far, and that's a pretty impressive feat.
Dragon's up in 40 seconds. Don't know how long they'll be able to avoid it, but no ultimates, no Nocturne.
They do need to start grabbing objectives back. That has been one thing Final 5 has had some serious trouble with. So far this series, they've not been able to secure a single dragon.
Yeah, single dragon for themselves would really help them out. They've also lacked in the blue control and the just jungle control in general, but the fact that they swap sides, Mimo is not exactly on a jungler that he's 100% comfortable on, not like his top 3. It's kind of up there still. And the fact that it's not one of those extremely aggressive ones that will deal a ton of damage in the mid-late game. Jarvan's kind of, you get 1 damage item, you get some picks early, then you're a team fight master.
Yeah. Well, and Mimo is a jungler that does a little bit more solo effort to try and make things happen for his team, where Shorter Ace is kind of that guy who says, okay, where do you guys need me? I will gank. So far, it's worked out well for him twice. He's been beating up on the Solo King. Wow, Rule 18 getting caught here.
Again?
Easy. Yep, we have talked a little bit about that too. Rule 18's had some trouble as well as he gets solo wards out. And this is the mark of a team that has had some coordination issues. They don't ward together. Uh-oh, they're caught up. Oh. There's one. Rule 18 is down. They didn't focus on Prototype. Knew they didn't have the damage, but Easy able to unleash the power on that support. And Final 5 is in full retreat. This dragon is live. Zenith is trying to take charge here. There is a contest available, but they're going to pull this one out of the pit and say, come and take it if you can. They have a teleport on Solo King if they need it.
And this dragon might just fall back into their hands. Right now, Rux, he looks like he wants to contest this, but no, there's the TP coming out.
I think that just says, come and make our day. Frost actually zoning. Shockwave gonna pull him in. They get the paranoia. Frost is being chased down. The dragon's regenning, but it's Gate that picks up Mimo. And Frost able to take out Shorter Ace. The rocket's in. Prototype slow. Solo King able to pick that one up, and he finds Prototype even more. And he's going to be just flashing away from that one as he couldn't get out on the Rift Walk, but Rux now taking up all the damage too. They're still coming in. Rule 18. He's back. The monsoon's on, but that's not going to deter them for long. And they may be blinking, but they found themselves 2 kills for 1. Mimo's down. They have no smite, so the dragon is not going to get done just yet, but they're not done with the fight at all. Rule 18 finding himself caught. Tiny health bar, and they have to back away because Rux was there.
Everybody has tiny health bars right now. It's just a poke back and forth, just an absolute bloodbath. No, people aren't necessarily dying, but they're getting chipped down really hard, and this dragon is completely off the table for Zenith at this moment. But they're going to heal up and try to come back. Gate needs to pretty much do the same.
Yeah, it's game of chicken. Very dangerous for a minute there where everybody just standing around with blinking health bars, hoping that the brush didn't get face checked. And I think they might want to think twice about that one. You're right. Zenith's saying, okay, we can take this. But this time, Final 5, they find a fight. Now, all the same, Mimo's back, and they're trying to sneak this one out. There isn't vision directly here, but now they get it. So Shorter Ace is going to know this is happening. I don't think he can come in for a steal. He's got no flash.
He'd have to walk all the way around. No flash, no ultimate there either.
Yeah, second win, second round. Zenith is going to take a second dragon of this game and get a little bit more golds in their pocket. So now, even though they're 2 towers down, they have the gold edge.
And they're going to check this for the pink ward. Good play there to clear it out. And Rule 18, he's skipping rules 1 through 17, which is don't face check the bushes.
Especially not when you're warding. He hasn't really had too much luck there, but they have been focusing him pretty hard. Easy unleashed the power on him last time, and now they're going to realize Shorter Ace in that brush, but still, you see what
Easy
wants to do. Oh, he's almost caught again. Oh, boy.
Okay, you know, you don't have to worry about rules 1 through 17 if Rule 19 is go ahead and just dodge skill shots. He's fine.
Yeah, just got to get those mechanics. So now they're going to split a little bit. Frost doing the same thing that Prototype tried last game. Here comes the rocket, going to go all the way, and it's not going to deter them too much. Lands on Prototype, but he's able to lifesteal it all back up. Here we go. They're looking to defend this, and they just show enough force for F5 to just back away.
Yeah, just some wave clear there to help them out in that mid lane and just dissuade them from poking down the turret. Mimo, he's going to back right now. See what he buys for himself. I want to see what Jarvan build he goes for. And yeah, it looks like he's going to go a little tanky right after his jungle item. He's not going to get anything else in terms of the offensive.
Well, they have to watch that CC train. It is pretty brutal if they get caught up in it. So the team fight, it's almost kind of like each team, despite the fact that Zenith pretty convincingly won that at the end there, both teams have taken a leaf out of each other's books. You see Final 5 able to apply a little bit of pressure around the map when they know that Zenith is not around, and Zenith is less afraid to fight with this composition.
Yeah, and they also have 3,000 gold advantage at this point in the game, whereas before they didn't have as big a lead at this point. They've held on to some turrets. They might, like it's pretty much the same as last game.
About right.
The Dragons or Zenith, they put a lot of emphasis on them in terms of ward control, vision control, and picking people off before it. And Final 5, they just aren't grouping as a 5-man team. Prototype, he's looking for the picks. He's got his Blade of the Ruined King. Jinx, Frost, he's ahead. He has his Infinity Edge already. it's going to be really hard for Prototype to actually end up dueling somebody unless he pops right on top of them and they're alone. Like,
yeah. This is something Zenith's really not been doing much. They're not going off alone with a few exceptions where, you know, Frost was able to fire down the tower with his minigun, and there was really nobody at home there. Now you have Rux trying to do the opposite on that bot side. He has his teleport up. Solo King does not, but Solo King is already in the mid, and you also have Frost doing the same trick on the top side. So who says AD carries can't split push? Let's get excited.
Yeah, I think both of these AD carries love to split push. Thing is, Prototype, he's going to have to look for more picks. Shorter Ace will be there to back him up. This is kind of a team that if Prototype does split push, they can back him up very quickly in numbers. You know, you could have Maokai TP, and you could also have the Nocturne just ultimate in there. But they also have team fighting with the Orianna, the disengage with the Janna, the ultimate from Maokai. Like, there's a lot of things here in favor of Final 5 if they team fight. Zenith at the same time, they need to scale up, they need to ramp up.
Well, they've been doing a pretty good job of avoiding direct conflict so far. Prototype trying to find some way into this mid side, but Frost not going to let him have it. And yeah, you know, out of the AD carry split pushing potential, Frost is just got a little bit more if he's able to find it. Now Prototype getting caught up takes a lot more damage than he's able to dish out. And easy, talk about dodging skill shots. He just walks right away from that Howling Gale.
He's been throwing out some really good skill shots of himself, just chunking out Prototype, but he has Blade of Ruin King. He'll just heal himself up. He's looking for picks. He's not executing these ambushes as well as he would hope. And he has the exhaust, right? He's a fantastic duelist with that summoner spell. If he gets hit,
he might be able to do this. The shield's on. They get the ignite, but they aren't able to follow the damage right as soon as the stun duration ends. No out of there. I'm going to flash, and they force it away. Now there's dual backing here. Rule 18 Prototype, they're moving. Solo King's moving on. They have to cancel these backs because this tower could go down. Gate can't defend it alone.
I talked about how Easy loves to play these types of champions that poke, that wave clear. He actually really likes the long-range mages, and I guess Jace kind of fits into that category a little bit in terms of what he does in the team composition. But Syndra is definitely one of his top champions. It's this one assassin or one bursty champion that he uses.
Well, he makes it look long range the way he's able to play that one out. And yeah, I mean, so far he's got himself 3 kills, no deaths, and an assist, but he really has been making Prototype sweat most of this time. So again, pressure down the mid. They aren't directly engaging if they can, but if they get a pick, they know they can turn it into something huge, and they have so many tools to do it. We haven't even seen Mimo go in on a Cataclysm yet, and there's that potential.
Yeah, he hasn't used a Cataclysm yet. We haven't really seen...
Again. We have seen this before, but it's going to answer back. Shorter Ace. Uh-oh, where are my friends at? He's going to say it doesn't even matter. And there is going to be Rux. K1's already down out of that one. They were able to find so much damage. Rocket comes in.
Fight.
There's the Cataclysm. They're still chasing. Final 5. Yeah, they might be able to do this one. Mimo's pretty low. Vengeful Maelstrom is up. He's going to twist it advance. Finds Mimo. They were trying to assassinate on the backside, but they've got nothing. It's 2 kills to 0 right now. And Zenith on the run. They still are able to find this one out. Easy. Wow, he's low. He's going to go for it. One more shot will do it. Twisted advance, and a shutdown goes over to Rux. Frost is all alone in this mid lane.
That's exactly what F5 needed. They're going to go ahead and clear this minion wave out, get some damage on this turret, because it's very low already, and then they can set up for the dragon. It's 50 seconds, so they just get ward control of it, and they're even going to push another one here. He's going to ambush to get some extra attack speed.
Yeah, he has to walk around those flame chompers, though. Rux is still able to tank this one up, but talk about a window of opportunity. They should be able to fire this one out. Got to be careful, though. Shockwave's in. They just tried to stop Jinx from assassinating everyone. That could have been a triple kill. But here comes Solo King. He finds Gate. He's exhausted. Frost is going to answer back, but he's going to give a life for it. Rux, he's so low, but he's so tanky. He's still going on this one, and Frost wants it. He's not excited just yet. K1 thinking twice about this one. They're going to face tank. He gets the kill. The AoE rockets get excited. Prototype answers. It's a double kill for Frost, and they just stayed too long, Zyrene.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to go for that second turret. I thought they were just going to sweep down to Dragon, get vision control back, and then be up in time for it. Here's the ultimate.
Here comes the rocket. It's not going to. It's right between it, and they get away just in time, but they're going to take a consolation prize here. This tower is all gone, and it looks like we'll be seeing a third dragon going over to Zenith in just a second.
Yeah, well, they'll be up, but it would be really close. They'd have to rush all the way there. They'd have to have somebody stall it, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, they might bait this, actually.
There's a red there, and is it going to bait Mimo into staying for it? It is, so they're not going to do the dragon just yet.
They're getting a little greedy here, actually. They're trying for both. Who needs a smite? Well, Mimo, he does use that, and he might flag and drag over this wall. Yeah, okay, so they're able to pick that one off. They just had all the time in the world, and they find Rule 18. He's got nowhere to go. We've seen this story all game, and 4 deaths down. Rule 18 getting caught out once again, trying to get some vision.
Yeah, they were able to get the dragon because they knew that the timers allowed them to do it. They were going to have to walk all the way back. F5, just not enough juice in the tank to get there. Rule 18 gets there, a little bit late to the party.
Yep, tries to find a little thing that he can, but so far, really, Shorter Ace and Rux have been kind of the shining stars of this team. Gate's been able to find a few edges here and there, but Prototype and Roll18 have really not stepped up as much as they are needed to. They did do really well in that fight, but then the return damage just wasn't enough. You saw Frost, no fear, going in there and chasing people down, and he was able to do it.
Yeah, I really like the fight that they had earlier, and I want to talk about that, was when they ended up going in, they actually caught out at the start, and Shorter Ace went in off a Nocturne ultimate, and they grouped up as 5 very quickly, and they were able to pick off multiple members of Zenith because of the positioning. They were able to scatter this pick composition, which really relies on outnumbering you in bushes, and they were like, we're just a 5-man unit. Now we're going to go ahead and just push through your team, separate them, divide and conquer, and it worked out perfectly. Like, I really like the play there from Rux. He wasn't stopped in the Cataclysm. He was still wreaking havoc on that back line.
Yeah. Now, in this time in the game, it's even on towers. This is definitely much better for Final 5 than it was during the last game at about the same time. They just have had so much trouble with follow-up. And you see Zenith, again, any chance they get, they see an edge, they see an advantage, they see a 5v4 or a free dragon, they will take it, and they will make it look easy. I guess that's why he's called that.
Get your free dragon.
Get your free dragon right here.
It's okay, it's okay. I won't take it. No, Zenith is going to go after it every time.
Absolutely, and they really have not let up on this one. But
love that ward.
They are going to be able to spot this. Here we go, Prototype.
They know what's happening.
He wants to come in, but he's already stunned up. Shorter Ace might have been a little early, but they do get the Brawl delivery. Frost is going to prompt K1 to get his ulti out, but Frost is already getting a kill. Still getting away, burning, but it doesn't even matter. And Mimo, he might go down for this one, but the rocket's in. He still wants to fight it out. K1 just returns a little bit more damage, but they trade jungler for jungler.
That could have been even worse for Zenith because of the fact that they had that ward in the middle of the lane. That's why you do that. You make sure that you can see them while they're in Fog of War. He saw everybody. He knew that they were going to try and force that fight. Yeah. Shorter has his Wriggle's Lantern, doesn't have his Feral Flare just yet, so he's lacking a little bit in the damage department, but he's looking to dive Frost every time.
Yeah, and he's almost able to pull it off. I mean, if they'd done that big shutdown, the 5-in-1 Jinx, they need to take him out of the fight. As you could see, that's the only reason they answered a kill back anyways. So Shorter Ace, again, going in on the audible, but a really good play by Frost to try and zone people out. And K1, with the really timely Glacial Fissure, made sure that the damage really wasn't that bad. So a 1-for-1 trade isn't the worst thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, and at the same time, Gate, he did get that Shockwave off onto 2 people in the back line, which was what they needed, because then that damage was not available. The Jinx is not available. One of their highest damage AoE members, 5-1 and 2, was not able to get that fight. His only contribution was the Super Mega Death Rocket on pretty much full HP members.
Yeah. And with Zenith, finding it still have a lead, it's slight. They can still do their thing, which is getting in the face and in the jungle of the opponent. Final 5 has to wrestle some control back here, but they realize they're caught out. Rule 18 again, the stun on him and Prototype. The ball, it's going to connect. Frost actually, all of his health almost gone between that and the little bit more that he was returned to from Prototype. But again, they still were able to get out scot-free. So Frost has to be careful here. He's a little bit low if he wants to keep taking this one.
Yeah, that's not exactly exercising too much caution there. He has some lifesteal with the Vamp Scepter, and he's looking to get, looks like he might get a Bloodthirster next, just so he can have a shield and survive.
Oh, they catch Rule 18 again, and they're going to spend so much on him, and that, well, that's just rude.
But rude.
All the ultimates.
Rude 18.
Rude 18. Well, he has had some trouble this game.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Not just staying alive, but really just, it almost like he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, but they know this. Zenith knows exactly where to check for him, and his team is not going with him because Final 5 is not really wanting to try and fight these anymore. They're trying the split push strategy. Rux is doing well on his own, but they've given up so many towers for this, and they just don't have an answer. Rux now, he could go down. Yeah, he might get this tower, but come on. At this point, it's a consolation prize compared to what they've already given up.
Yeah, and when you have a pick composition and you're warding as well as Zenith is, you're going to find the Janna out by himself every time that he is. Look at this Rux.
Yeah, he thinks it's a 1v1. He thinks the Solo King's alone, but not for much longer. Finding a Jinx. Oh, he might go back in this one. There's no tower to get executed on, so it might be a wild tree chase. And here they go. Rux, I don't think he's going to last too much longer out of this one. Frost, is he going to pick the kill or will be Solo King? Going to force it out. It looks like it's going to go over to Frost at the end of the day. Get excited either way, but I mean...
That kill was worth 350.
Just about.
No, it was. So the gold popped up on him. It was like, hey, GG. Tree Fitty got the tree.
It might be deliberate.
Yeah. I don't know. No, Maokai's not worth 50 extra gold.
That'd be a pretty broken passive. Yeah. Well, with all that, Zenith again. I mean, they traded Tower. They they do get some more gold back in their pockets, but the real big story of this is Frost. 7-1, he's on a hyper carry. If you don't shut that down, you're going to have an absolutely awful time. And they don't even have armor.
Yeah. There's no armor here on that side. Really,
exception of maybe Rux.
Yeah, double Zhonya's though on Zenith. So they have a lot of baiting potential between those two members. And those are members that you want to focus. Everybody on this team is pretty much a threat for Zenith. Whereas Final 5, it's the double actives of Prototype, trying to burst somebody out. The lack of vision that Shorter Ace is able to combine with that. As soon as Twitch pops up on your back line, it's going to be a really big scatter if Nocturne ultis at the same time. You won't really understand which direction you're getting hit from by the rat-tat-tat if you're one of the kind of collateral members, like one of the ones in the way.
Exactly. But everything that has really been done proper fight-wise for Final 5 has been off the back of a Gate Shockwave, and now, well, another Dragon should go over pretty quick. They wanted to check at the Baron, but they realized nobody was home. So Zenith once again grabbing themselves another one, but Shorter Ace going in under Frost, finds them all out alone, but maybe not. K1, Glacial Fissures on, Frost is in trouble. There's Prototype, he gets exhausted, but they're able to get away from this one. Three-man Shockwave, the Monsoon's out, they're getting chased down, the Rocket comes out, but it's Prototype coming up with a big pick. Solo King gets the Zhonya's, but it's only going to delay his own death, and this is going to be a 3-for-none, and Final 5 find the fight that they needed.
That is exactly the team fight that they've been looking for all game long, all series long. Gate, that is the most people he has hit with a Shockwave this series. They're going to go straight for this Baron because they already have vision control of it, and they have the numbers advantage. This is a super easy Baron for them, and that's going to put them really close in terms of combat stats to Zenith after they buy.
Yeah, but the only thing Zenith's going to get out of all that is a rough timer. So a big Baron buff, 29.5 minutes in off a massive fight. And again, the Shockwaves are critical, but they were able to deliver. Shorter Ace saw blood in the water, saw Frost almost on his own, was able to go in and make it happen. And what a play. Prototype in the back too, exactly where he needed to be. Excellent team fighting from Final 5 there.
Yeah, both actives on him, hitting people from the side, making them think about the Twitch as opposed to the Orianna. The multi-pronged threat of those two coming from different angles is really big for this composition. They are actually right up there in terms of combat stats and gold effectiveness to Zenith eSports. The next fight, if there's another Shockwave like that from Gate and it's already back up, would pretty much decide an inhibitor.
The amount of chase that Final 5 has is really what enabled that too, and you also can see that in some of the item choices. The Bilgewater Cutlass being picked up, of course, by Shorter Ace, Prototype already having the Blade of the Rune King. But yeah, Zenith, they're still in the gold lead, but I mean, that has to shake your confidence going into this one. And now Final 5 moving forward, 4 members with this Baron buff. They have Shorter Ace in the back. They feel like they can push on something. There is one outer turret remaining for either team, and it looks like Final 5 is eyeballing that one in the top.
This Baron buff up, it's going to allow them to clear these waves very easily. Look at that. Rule 18, he has more items now than he had in the last game with that iron.
Despite having a worse KDA this game.
Yeah. Well, he's gotten that global gold from his team. He's gotten some global gold, whereas last time he was getting nothing for the most time.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty smart idea to delay the coin, especially in favor of picking up the Locket as well. It's given his team a little more sustain. Massive minion wave here. They should be able to fire down this turret without too much trouble. And look at that. Rux just says, you have to deal with me before you can get to any of my team, and I'm just fine.
Rux City is pretty much mobile at this point, and he is the buildings. So you just got to go through a building to get to his team.
Just about. And, well, the solo kingdom is starting to crumble right here in the top lane. Only an inhibitor towers remaining in any of these lanes. So Final 5 kind of doing a hit and run strat, but they know they can fight this out with the Baron buff. And as you mentioned, the wave clear, the regen, they've just got a lot working for them right now, and they found this window, and they've been able to start getting an edge in this game.
Yeah, and I want to talk about where these edges are. Rux, very, very tanky at this point in the game. He's going to have his Frozen Heart very shortly, and the most fed member on Zenith eSports is Frost. He's got most of the kills. He's got 3 items. He doesn't have his last Whisper just yet, so it takes him even longer to get through Rux. He's worried about himself because there's so much dive on Final 5's team, and there's very little peel on Zenith aside from possibly Cataclysming. But at the same time, you have to hope you aren't Cataclysming your own members because Gate's just going to take complete advantage of that. And then K1, he has some peel, but he's looking to be a little more offensive and worry about the Twitch. So everybody who can peel on Zenith's side has some other thing that is a little bit of more of a priority. So Frost is pretty much on his own, despite being so fed.
Yeah, and they have to protect him.
Yeah, exactly. And Easy, he needs protection too. He's in that backline 3-1 and 4, but this is pretty much even with a lot of the members on Final 5.
And that's just it too. Final 5, they're able to take that backline out because they have so much dive potential that at this point, if you take away Easy or Frost, preferably Frost, you pretty much win the fight if you don't lose anyone immediately doing it. And that's why the Nocturne ulti ball delivery system, Prototype hanging out on the backline, I mean, it's all on Gate, but he has really stepped up this game, and 2-1-7 doesn't even do it justice.
Yeah, and they have closed that gold gap with those plays that they made from grouping up. And Final Five is probably thinking, oh, we should group now. Like, I don't want to see anybody split pushing on this team if they actually want to win. And Prototype, the fact that he's playing more of a team fighty type of Twitch now is really, really good. He didn't get any of those picks in the early game or that mid game, so now he's grouping up for these team fights, and that's exactly what this team composition needs to do, and they needed to do that last game too. It's really a big thing, and I think that the things are kind of clicking for them, and Zenith is kind of panicking at this point because they had a gold lead that was much higher than this, and now it's down to about 1.8K.
Yeah, they have had troubles with closing games in the past. That has been one of the things that Zenith, when they don't get an absolute massive lead that they're able to overwhelm with, that is the win condition that Final Five has been finding. And right now, they're looking to just edge it anywhere they can. Dragon's up in a minute. They might be able to grab that one with the map control that they've secured for themselves. This would be their first Dragon in the series if they do that. And means a little bit less now, but still.
Yeah, they've gotten more Barons than Dragons.
That's very true. And this was a very important Baron, even if it's off right now. They're just doing everything they can to push around. Again, this is... It's not the polar opposite of the last game, but something has clearly clicked this game for Final Five, and they're finding the fights they need. Zenith, I think they got a little bit lax, and they gave up some kills that really weren't necessary.
Yeah, Rule 18 was out of position a lot against this pick composition. When you get into Champion Select and you're loading into the game, you need to look at what the other team has and what they are going to do to you and what you should be doing to them. It's really, really big as a team captain, as a shot caller, and how to keep your basically your babies, your soldiers, away from the traps that the enemy is setting. Because the Janna was out of position, and Rule 18, you know, he's trying to ward, he needs to check himself, and also have somebody else check him too and be like, you don't need to be there. We don't really need that at this moment, like, because if you die, we give it up no matter what.
In all fairness, they have got out of vision here, and here we go.
Ulti.
Shockwave, it's gonna get shielded out. Oh my goodness, that is instantly Shorter Ace blowing up. They monsoon away everybody, but Final Five, I'm not sure if this is the fight they wanted. K1's still in here. He's tanking every single thing. They will find Solo King, and they just could not do any more than that. It ends up being a 1 for 2, still going in favor of Final Five, but yeah, you try to put that damage on Rux, and you can't take down the tree.
Yeah, it's a really big problem here for Zenith, and they're gonna go straight after this top turret. There are some minions there, and it's going to be the ambush there for the extra attack speed from Prototype. And Prototype's damage was just off the charts at that point, as well as Gate. Look at that,
going. K1, he's down. That's Prototype. He's exhausted. Gate's exhausted, rather. They still are going. The zap's going to land. Frost is doing an amazing job zoning away here with the help of Easy, but still a big win there for Final Five as they crack the inhibitor turret shell.
Wow, this is the furthest that Final Five have gotten. And it's pretty much off the back of Rux and Shorter Ace's calling there. That didn't look like it was going to be a great play. Like, if Rux was not as tanky as he was there, it would have been a big problem. And if, here's just a food for thought at this point in the game, if Final Five win this match, they swap sides again. And they were banning Maokai when they were on red side. They were banning 3 top lane champions. They might leave it open, and then that leaves Lee Sin open for a first pick, and saying, if you take Lee Sin, we get Maokai. But if you take Maokai, we get Lee Sin.
Yeah.
So
there are those back and forth.
Exactly, and so showing this right here is really, really good. Just flexing your muscles on that champion. Rule 18 again!
Yeah, they're able to find that little bit. He might be worth 210 gold, and it's ending up in the pockets of Easy. Baron is 8 seconds away. That is pretty much the single worst thing that could have happened right now for Final Five.
Exactly. He's getting caught right before Barons, right before Dragons, and it is costing them those objectives right off the bat. Now, here's the thing. He's the disengage of the team. They don't exactly need disengage during the Baron. You can kind of ulti people back into the pit, but out of the people to lose before the Baron, he is probably the best one if you had to lose somebody, if you had to sacrifice a teammate.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they've sacrificed him a total of 6 times, pretty much. And now Zenith has control of that Baron area, but they're not interested in taking it just yet. They have to defend their fronts, but Final Five are giving it their all to try and keep them from starting that one. And it's kind of a guessing game here without the vision in. It looks like they will go for this. Solo King on the zone. Baron is going down pretty quick right now, but there is a response here. You see Shorter Ace making his moves. He's going to check through a pink brush. They know this is happening. They could go in for steal. Zenith's going to back away from this. Wow, they want the fight. They're going to find Rux. He is tanky. The shockwave's on. Solo King's going to Zanya's away from it. Shorter Ace still zoning, but it's Prototype picking up a rampage kill.
He's getting so much damage.
They're doing it. Rux, he's tanking everything. They get a triple kill. Prototype, can he get more? Frost is on the run. It's a shutdown. They do answer back, but at what cost of 4 for 2. They might get the ace. Easy's got nowhere to go, and Rux is on the chase. Run from the tree if you can.
Rux is so damn tanky that it was a 4v5. They didn't give a damn. He goes straight after it. They win that fight off Prototype's damage. Gate's shockwave was really bad. It was Zhonya's off of that. And look at that, he's going to go teleport and get them an inhibitor. Final 5 are making the right moves, and it's off of Rux, and they set him up from the early game with shorter aces ganks.
Absolutely. They don't even need the Baron. They're going to take a big inhibitor off a massive minion wave. Should be able to push a couple more things before all said and done. Gate, he's feeling so confident and happy he can just take a couple turret shots. But yeah, Rux, you cannot take down the tree. This guy has been so sustainful this entire fight, and they've been focusing him.
Yeah, and the fact that the last Whisper is pretty much completed before that for Frost, he's the only one who really does any damage to him, and at the same time, he has himself a Frozen Heart and so much armor to back it up, and he's going to go for a Randuin's next. This tree is just so tanky, it's almost impossible to chunk through him with this team composition of Zen, because the cast on top isn't even going to do that much damage.
Yeah, they've really got themselves in a rut here, Zenith. Finding themselves actually down in the gold. So after all that swing, after a couple of bad fights like that, it has been absolutely massively turning in favor of Final 5. And, you know, the way this is trending, we could be looking at a game number 3.
We'll be looking at one, but right now, looking at the Baron, staring into the face here. There's a lot of engage options from Final 5. They don't have the paranoia just yet. He's going to have to walk straight through, but they are all right there. If they get Rule 18 to push them into a bad situation, possibly in the pit, like you have to be on the outside or else Janna ultis you in, and then Gate ultis on top of that.
This is the kind of place where games can get decided.
It's tense.
It's very tense.
There are super minions pushing into the base of Zenith at the same time.
And there's still a wave on the bot side that they have to contend with now. Shorter ace, gonna realize he checked into that one. That was a mistake. He's gonna go down. Mimo's gonna get the zone on. They have a teleport now. Rux is still there, but what can he really do? He has to make a play here. The team Zenith, they have a 1-for-1. The junglers are gone. Baron's off the table. And that's pretty much how it's gonna be, but they might want to fight again.
Prototype used his ultimate.
Gonna stop the backs.
Still have the ultimates here, and the flash is about to be up for Rux.
There are super minions. They're in pushing to the top.
They're just
they have to stop this back. They can do it. If Solo King isn't able to back, this is going to be rough for them. They're just going to give it up and go to middle, though.
Looks like they're going to lose one.
Yeah, one tower's down. They have Solo King back, but I mean, that's a pretty big oversight, too. You cannot afford to be fighting or trying to Baron dance when there's super minions. And he can't defend this. There's 2 super minions. They just get one. Easy's going to throw it, but they nearly lose that second one, and they are going to give up a dragon here. Again, Final 5. Well, it may have been an even fight, but they get more in the end.
It's their first dragon of the series, and the reason they get more is because of that inhibitor that was pushing against them. Zenith was very aware of that in the back of their mind. And I really like the fact that Final 5 have been grouping up with their team fight composition. It's something they didn't do Game 1. They fixed it middle of Game 2. They just needed that one fight, and they got it. And then they're like, oh, this works. And they kept doing it. Zenith, at the same time, were very pick-oriented. And you said they have trouble closing out games. With this composition that they've made for themselves, it's very hard to close out a game unless you split push some things down, and then you dive this team. But there's so much disengage. There's a ton of re-engage here from Final 5. And the fact that the damage output of Zenith is pretty much solely on the sustained damage of Frost. And he can't get through Rux.
It's pretty difficult to take down that tree, and they've been trying all game, but they have a lot of damage. It's a lot of it's on Frost. The rest of it's on Easy. If either of those targets are taken out, Final 5 just finds these edges, and yeah, look at that. They nearly got a chase on. Rule 18, despite the fact that he's been getting caught, has actually really not been a problem overall for this team.
Yeah, and Rux, instead of going for the Randuins, he doesn't need that because Randuins will slow even more tactically. He goes for the Thorn Mail. He's just trying to make Frost's life a living hell. Like, he's making it so you attack me, you're killing yourself. Hopefully that Bloodthirster is worth it.
Yeah, they're doing everything they can to make sure he's as shut down as possible. Still 10-3 on that Jinx, but what has he done lately? This Baron, it's getting low. Mimo could go in for the steal. The rocket, it's gonna go over to Shorter Ace though, and Mimo now twists advance on. They find Shorter Ace, the chase is on. Shorter Ace is low, but they get the shockwave. It's massive. Solo King Zanya's out of it, but it's not gonna be so lucky. Mimo, K1, Frost, all go down in a triple kill. Going over to Prototype. They're on the chase. The Quadra, can he get more? He wants the Penta. He's gonna be running for it. They're chasing it down. Twist advance, they're gonna give it up to him. He's gonna pick this one up in a delayed shot. Penta kill from Prototype.
And that's going to be game. Final 5. They got that Baron. They got the team fights they needed. And they're going to end the game. They're going to take this to a game 3.
Absolutely. A massive comeback after that first game. And they are going to be going to game number 3. Final 5 really showing up over Zenith eSports. And boom goes the Nexus.
After figuring out how to play their team composition, they really showed how confident they are on these champions. They became way more confident in their play, grouped up, and showed that Zenith, despite having that really good first game, it was really more about Final 5 not playing to their team comp strengths, and I completely agree with that. When I saw that, they were just playing a really, really bad Game 1. And I think picks and bans this next game is not going to be the same as Game 1. I think they aren't just going to let that happen again. I think they're going to have more tactics coming into that champion select.
They're going to absolutely have to, but we might see a little bit more of the Game 1 pick ban kind of game coming out. We may even see Gnar left up as well as the Maokai you mentioned.
I don't know if Gnar's going to be left up. Gnar is just way too high of a priority right now. Extremely potent top laner. Extremely potent. Like, he's ridiculous.
Now, this time, Rux made the Maokai look pretty solid himself, so we'll see if they're going to be able to do that again or if that's going to be taken off the table. So before we get into picks and bans again, win conditions this time. Final 5, they found every single fight. They got the Orianna. Do you think the Ori gets banned away this time?
The Orianna, I don't think it gets banned away because they're trying to like pinch Shorter Ace's champion pool, which seems to be the strategy here from Zenith, and then just apply pressure afterwards. And then ban the Vayne. They've banned the Vayne every game. They don't want Prototype on that. So that's one ban gone. They typically ban out either the Rengar or the Lee Sin so that he doesn't get one of them. And then they really just have one ban available to them. And I don't think it's going to be that. I think they're going to leave it up for something else.
All right. Well, with that being said, we will get to find out in just a moment. Going into picks and bans for game number 3, this is going to be the final match for these two teams. Final 5, will they come out on top after a massive performance that honestly looked even more dominating than what Zenith was able to accomplish in Game 1.
Yeah, we don't like breaks here. We were just so excited from that. We're just going to get straight into the action in Game 3. 1-1. One of these teams goes on to the next round, where I believe they're playing
Complexity Black.
Complexity Black.
That's going to be a tough match either way.
Yeah,
but these teams have shown up today.
And we'll see that next week. Actually, Complexity Black has that LCS promotion spot coming down, so they had that first round bye. And that team is going to be very familiar with some people on it when we show them. Going to be actually a little
few swaps around, yeah, but you'll see a couple of them. But
not the same complexity that you would be used to, but still a really good team.
Absolutely. So, bans up. You're right. Gnar was off the table. Maokai's still on the table, but they left Rengar up, and Orianna gets insta-locked in for easy this game. So they do go for the takeaway strategy, but that leaves Shorter Ace on Rengar.
Yeah, Zenith did the same thing last game, taking away other champions. I thought it was a really good strategy coming into it, but then the composition that they made for themselves was really mismatched overall. But ooh, I think, yeah, the Rengar is the absolute right choice to pick because it's going to force BMO onto that J4 that he played last time and is not impressed with his performance. And he can't do the same type of moves level 2 or 3. And yeah, they definitely want to pinch the Maokai earlier than that. You don't have to pick your jungler at this point because they already locked in theirs. They're not going to lock in like Rengar top and then throw this somewhere else.
Solo King on Maokai should be a pretty solid combination.
Well,
I'm a little bit... Prototype and Rule 18. They had decent positioning, but so many times was Rule 18 caught out on this Janna. He has the speed boost, but you'd think they might go for something a little bit tankier to counteract that. Not really prioritizing it, it seems. Yeah,
and right now Zenith kind of has almost the same composition that F5 had last game, except they have a Jarvan
They've
now.
swapped sides and champions.
Yeah, the Jarvan, you know, Nemo's still sticking with that. He had that last game as opposed to the Nocturne that Shorter Ace had. But now Shorter Ace is going to have his Rengar, which is one of his top 2 champions right behind his Lee Sin. This guy makes Lee Sin highlights all the time. If you watch Scar's stream, sometimes you run into him. He's just on the other team, and Scar's just like, what is he doing? Oh my, how did he do that?
Yep. And then, well, he's been pretty impressive so far, but it looks like they will prioritize the Jinx again on Prototype. They're hovering right now on the Katarina, and this would be an interesting pick composition, but there's a lack of protection there, and I think this makes more sense for Gate going over on Twisted Fate.
Well, not just for the namesake on Destiny Gate on the Ultimate. He's really familiar with that champion. It looks like he is going to bring the Flash and Ghost, which is a really good kind of combination there. We saw it from Link a bunch in the LCS. We saw it in Korea a whole bunch. You know, Dandy's really big on that on pretty much every champion that he played. Or, sorry, Dade.
Dade.
Dade, Dandy. They just a bunch of D's, Nays.
There are quite a lot of D's.
And a Y sound at the end.
Exactly. This is not the worst choice too for laning phase because, you know, TF has a little bit of a rough lane sometimes because he has one less ability to bring to the field. But against Orianna, the safest laner, the safest mid laner in the game, it's not really a problem. You're not going to worry about too much action there in general. And then the Sivir choice on Zenith's side too is also an interesting thing because they have a lot of gap close and lockdown. One thing I wanted to mention too was the fact that the Orianna combos up with Jarvan this time. So they have almost, they're like kind of reversing their styles.
Yeah, and I hope he goes with the that last lock-in Sion there for top lane for Rux, because Sion is actually an extremely potent top laner at this point in the game. because you just get Soul Furnace and then you just max your E first, your Roar of the Slayer, and you just use it on the first minion as they're coming up, and you just push that first one all the way through all the others, and it does bonus damage to them.
Yeah, and if you get any champions caught by that as well, a little bit extra. Yeah, the new sign has been incredibly potent, not just in solo queue. We've seen a lot of top lane players playing it almost incessantly, and the map presence he brings with his ultimate, the charge, is very, very effective. So they're really thinking about this one, and it would be interesting to see that up against a Maokai in the top lane.
Yeah, it'd pretty much be a back and forth fight there, and I think he's going to go with it, and I really hope he does, because this composition, you know, there's a lot of like engage here, there's disengage, there's pick. They do a little bit of everything, which is sometimes bad, but they're not going with another 5v5 team comp. Instead, Zenith's doing that. Zenith has this 5v5 team composition where they want to group up, and Zenith have done a much better job of playing 5v5 compositions or playing 5v5 fights, because they're always grouped in the mid game. They're never like split pushing unless it's Frost getting something that he knows he can get.
Yeah. Well, and you know, having a Jinx has been actually the most contested kind of thing this game, and now back on Prototype. He didn't have as much luck on it as Frost did, but he's still a pretty solid mechanical player. They have a lot of chase. It seems like they're a little bit more all in, though. You look at Final 5 across the board, they're going to either get in and get kills or get wiped.
Yeah, that's a really big problem there. But at the same time, I think that they're dragging control of Zenith. They've been doing it so well with whatever composition they had. Now they have a composition that is suited to that and suited to fighting around it. I think that's going to be a big thing for them. And I think they might just try. If they don't play to that strength, then it's a problem. But if they do play to that strength, it's going to be fantastic. So a lot of this is on shorter ace to shut down that early game. And then also their engages and disengages later. Because they can reset a fight, right? They have the Janna. If you engage on them, they're just like, all right, let's push this back. Let's reset the fight. And then they can choose when to engage after that.
I just have to make sure they don't get caught before that all happens. But we'll see. We are locked in picks and bans again. Everybody you've been watching this series, what do you think? Let us know. We want to know your information. Tweet us at LOL eSports using the hashtag LCS expansion. Let us know who you think have been the big highlight players and your predictions going forward. And we will be getting into the game in just a moment to find out what of these two teams will be going on. I mean, it's so hard to call this. They're so back and forth.
Yeah, they're really back and forth, and I think it all comes down to they set themselves up in Champion Select. And no game is really decided in Champion Select. You can set yourself up for your win conditions, but then what happens from there? Because we saw a really good team composition from Final 5 in the first game, but they didn't play to their strength. They didn't play to that team composition. Like, you don't win if you just pick one champion. You're like, oh, it's OP, we win. It's how do you use these things? Do you actually play them appropriately, correctly, and do you adjust to the situation? Do you adjust to what your opponent are doing? And right now, F5, they have a lot of cards on the table, and it's kind of like we can pick and choose what we want to do, but they have to have clear calling to do that. Whereas Zenith, you pretty much just have to go. That's all they have to do is just go. This is a very forward momentum, forward fighting team.
Yeah, and they're actually going to get spotted out here. Final 5 is, rather. And Roulette Team, he may not go down, but he is leading the charge and takes a bit of a sapling toss to the face as they look to make some early plays towards this blue, getting a little bit extra vision out. But again, this entire series, Zenith has been playing this defensive line of scrimmage. They've had a couple delayed moves, but they've been doing everything they can to throw Final 5 off. These two teams, they know each other very intricately, and you can tell they've done their homework.
And I think there's a little story about that, too, where a lot of members on Zenith had been on Final 5s for some tryouts at some point. Like, they had just been rotating through them.
Yeah, they've had kind of the managers and team players and the coaches have kind of worked with both these players, or both these teams' players, in different regards. So they've kind of seen them shuffle back and forth quite a lot. And it makes for an interesting matchup when you have so much cross-pollination that you're able to know what the enemy team, or at least what some of the players are going to be doing frequently.
Cross-pollination.
Oh, yeah. Industry term.
Sleeping with the enemy.
Oh, well. When you put it that way. Fraternizing.
Yeah. At the same time, though, we do have Rux in the top lane. And I want to keep an eye on this Scion because we haven't seen one yet in a competitive play in terms of, like, LCS things. So right now,
it's the first time.
Yeah, he's got the
starting the Ruby Crystal.
Ruby Crystal, which will help him in terms of maximum HP for his W, his Soul Furnace.
Yeah, and he's definitely an interesting champion with the way his new kit works out. So
also keeps him alive a little longer too during his passive.
Yeah, and it gives him not just sustain, but able to deal the damage based on the max HP, of course, of the enemy. So Solo King might have a rough time the longer that goes on. All the same, we're going to see normal lanes. They did get some deep wards to spot that out, but also, you know, I'm interested to see where these junglers do go to begin this one, because Shorter Ace, you know, he could make early plays, but we don't typically see that from Rengar's. He's a little bit different.
He's going for it.
He got a
level in the Bola, and he's going to try to jump this.
Oh, wow. This would be so unexpected. They got the gold card out. They get the bullet. They get the combo. They might get first blood. They get a flash at least, and they do. It's going over to Gate. Mimo coming in a little bit too late. Another one. They could answer back for more. Not quite enough. And Mimo, ooh, that's going to mess up your jungle day.
Yeah. Oh, man. That card was yellow. It's bad for a fellow. Then he goes straight for it afterwards. Really good play there from Shorter Ace. This is why you don't give him Rengar or Lee Sin. His early aggression on those champions and his comfortability on them is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you can already see Rux on that Scion making huge waves against Solo King. What a massive amount of damage he's able to do and sustain up incredibly through it. So this is pretty big across the board for Final 5. They start out hot and heavy, and they really, you know, a level 2 Rengar gank, we don't see that very often.
Oh yeah, he's probably, you know, Zenith is probably sitting there going, who does that anymore? This isn't Season 3.
Yep, it's preseason actually.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Not yet. Not yet.
Uh-oh.
Still Season 4.
Bubble catch. Prototype. He's in a little bit of trouble. We've seen this matchup before. Forced to heal away, or rather, Rule 18 is forced to heal. So since he doesn't take it, he has his support to it.
Yeah.
He does like the summoner spell. He just doesn't like to have it. And round 2.
Here it is.
Here we go. Bullet combo with the gold card. They keep going. Easy. No flash this time. No escape. And one more hit would do it if he gets it. And he does. Style.
And that yellow card hit just sounded like money there. Ching.
Quite a bit as he picks that one up. 2 kills on the game right now for Gate, and he is looking pretty strong. So the rougher part for Final 5 has been this bot side, but Prototype's still able to answer back the damage as well. That 3% lifesteal on his Doran's Blade definitely helping out as he pokes as many minions down as he can.
We're just seeing a complete swap over the course of this series. Shorter Ace, you know, he has some nerves sometimes. That first game, he was definitely put on edge with those picks. And then game 2, he's like, okay, I can handle this. I'm on Nocturne. They ban away his Nocturne as well. They leave up the Rengar because they don't want to deal with the Nocturne. And so he gets it, and now they're probably thinking, oh, I don't know, like just there's a reason you ban this champion from him.
Yeah, and I think when you get into these long series, even if it's been only 2 games up till now, they've been longer times, it's easy to forget in the heat of the moment that, oh, I should ban away this champion all the time because of what you see. Yeah, he's feeling a ton of map pressure right now. Frost, they have to know something's up. The aggression is on. They get
away from the shield.
He's going to. He does wait. The bubble's on, so he's taking a couple tower shots. This could get turned around for a moment, but he gets the bullet on the outside, so no damage done to him after the fact. But in the mid lane, well, they comboed up and answered right on back, so Gate's going to get almost shut down. Yeah,
Gate had something going for him there in terms of experience. He's going to miss out all of this, though. Those 2 ganks got him ahead of experience, which means he would have had a really early level 6, and that would have been exactly what he needed to start snowballing this game even harder. With the good gank there from Mimo, and now the roam from him top because he knows where Shorter Ace was. Down on that bottom side, really low on HP, so he has to back, and there's definitely timers on him.
Yep, seemed like a little bit greedy there just to try and pick that off. They didn't have the vision, so it was almost just kind of a game sense thing that enabled Zenith to escape from that one. And then, of course, Mimo is kind of starting answering back, too. So he had a little bit of a rough early start, but at 5 minutes in, Zenith's not looking too shabby off the back of that gank.
Rux isn't maxing the E, he's maxing the Q in this one.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that I've watched go with the E max because of the damage to minions and the slow. It goes from 40% to 60%, but he's maxing the Q, which doesn't increase in terms of CC duration or anything like that. As you rank it up, it just increases in damage and decreases in cooldown. So he's just looking to try and wave clear a little bit and possibly do some damage to the Solo King. But I don't know if that's optimal.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. We haven't really seen a ton about New Scion aside from in the scrims and in the solo queue to really know how he falls into this meta, but he's clearly a force to be reckoned with. And he's been able to do a lot of damage to Solo King, if not take him down, even in this early game. So, you know, again, as long as you're able to keep him occupied, he might like that, but if he can't kill you, it's all right.
Bax gets himself a catalyst, and look at this. F5. Mimo's going to back. There's no smite available in that area, and they pushed him out. And that's going to be a dragon for Final 5. This is the first dragon they've taken as the first one in the game.
Yeah, and nobody would expect that. Zenith's been totally controlling it, but this time more proactive on the side of Final 5. They grab themselves a little bit of that gold and get themselves a nice little lead to start this one off. And they don't even reel anything. They, you know, it wasn't even obvious that they did it.
Yeah, they didn't lose anything for it. I'm trying to find a better way to phrase that. It's the first time they've taken the first dragon of the game. There we go.
It
wasn't their first dragon.
Probably, yeah. I think it actually was their second or third dragon.
Yeah, it's their second or third dragon, but it's the first one they've taken as the first in the game.
Absolutely. And
which is really big because they've made comebacks before. But team that is capable of that with their shot calling, it's really big to just consider what happens when they get ahead, and the shot calling just becomes more of, you know, oh, we can just keep going.
Well, we have seen this progression from Final 5. Yes, they had a lot of trouble and were just edged out, but even in the end of the first game. They showed some heart there, and they were able to make some plays despite not able to close it out or really able to get back into it. But second game, they came back in the middle of it. They got control of the game. They closed it out beautifully. And this time, they're starting with a lead, so it seems like they're progressively getting better, while Zenith has just been having trouble. And you can see, wow, Rux is just putting the hurt on Solo King. Yes, he's able to sustain through it, but still, he's a level up, and he's having trouble. Oh, not anymore.
Nope. But that's going to be the...
Oh, he does walk away from the cube.
Shorter Race is
here, yeah. Solo King, he has to know this. Uh-oh, they're going all in for this one. The charge in from Rux, and they're going to find the Solo King, chop down the wood for the tree. That's why you picked Lumberjack Scion, I guess.
Oh, man, that's awesome. But at the same time, not so awesome for Zenith, because they lose the Solo King. They've picked on him every time in the early game. Shorter Race just doesn't like him.
No, and now Rule 18, he's got to stop getting caught, but he will flash away from this one. There's the combination. They spend a lot, but they will be able to pick him up. Easy says, I want a little bit more gold in my pocket, and he's going to be able to get a little more damage onto that tower. Rocket's coming in just to deter him. Make Mimo and Easy think twice. And you can tell Prototype's never been afraid to just send a rocket out.
Yeah, a lot of them. Frost either. He has just thrown it out for some wave clear. That time they actually didn't get any wave clear or kill any minions under the turret, but it did some damage. It's going to allow them to know a little bit more about Mimo and how long he's going to stick around, because he wants to get this turret. But yeah, it's pretty low.
They should be able to closely answer. They're a little afraid of Shorter Race here. Wow, Bolas flashes all around.
He's going
Easy
hard.
could be in trouble. There's a teleport coming in for Solo King. They have Rux as well, and this is going to be a little bit of an interesting skirmish. Rux just zoning out. Solo King trying to do the same, but they might settle for it again. And this is one turret down all finally for a couple of minions, because at this point, you know, Zenith was like, all right, we'll let them do the job.
Yeah, Gate's been pushing as Twisted Fate in the top lane, and it's not really the best of split pushers, but he's been waiting on his Gate cooldown, his destiny, to come back up.
Yeah, and he's been, you know, he did a pretty good job. A little bit mistiming with the final auto attack, but once you've already gone up there, you've gotten the kill, rather than walking back. Yeah, get a little bit extra. All the same, Zenith was able to answer back. It was a hard-fought tower, and they're still a little bit behind, but they're not doing too terrible at defending these things, and Solo King is almost as tanky as Rux.
Rux getting himself just a tanky build on Scion. No extra damage, but maxing the Q first. Trying to wave clear with it, trying to, you know, during the fight, he wasn't getting many of them off, because it's very obvious that it's going to happen. You need some type of follow-up. Like if Shorter Race lands a root, a bola on him, then he's going to be able to just hit him with that right afterwards.
Well, they've been comboing up pretty well with the gold cards, so, you know, Gate and Shorter Race, again, we talked about this synergy. It has been absolutely there. Shorter Race on a champion is incredibly comfortable with, too. I mean, there aren't so many strong Rengars in this tournament, but he's definitely among them.
Yeah, there's a couple Rengars. I want to see if Impaler actually whips that out later on.
Inori as well.
On Coast. Inori is definitely one of the better Rengars in this tournament.
But yeah, Shorter Race making a name for himself here. He has done pretty solid so far, going with the standard Rengar build as well. Want to get those boots nice and quick, and he's looking for Mimo. They might collapse on him. Gets the jump, gets the bola. They find Easy
Mimo.
Going in again, and they get it. One more shot is all it's going to take. With the ball, it wasn't going to be enough. Easy tried to combo up the rocket, though is going to fly wide to the left of the Solo King as Rux and he continue to duke it out. And yeah, this is like a battle of the ages.
Yeah, up in the top lane.
And there's Gate. Well, Gate's going to get involved. Join the party. You've got yourself a gold card. Let's see if he can chop down the tree one more time. He's going to try, but they don't know if Easy's there. They get another stun. He's been hitting those like crazy. He's got a little bit more damage, but Rux has to be careful. Gate incredibly squishy, and Solo King is going to get away, this time by the skin of his bark.
Yeah, Rux has no mana, so he wasn't able to contribute in that fight too much. He had his flash up. No ultimate. Well, no mana for the ultimate. The big part of that.
Yeah, that was really the key there, but they were making a very opportunistic call. Now you see Prototype going to be solo splitting on this bottom turret. Frost coming to try and push him off of that, but it's already halfway down, and that's a pretty solid play there for Final, just being able to find, again, little places you can poke down. This is what Zenith did game 1. Final 5 kind of had a more sensational strategy game 2, but this time it's kind of gone back to basics.
Yeah, they're 2K up, and last game we saw about the 17-minute mark, Zenith was up about 3K. So Final 5 are well on their way to having a better game last game in the early game than they've ever had in this series.
Yep. Now Prototype has to be careful. Oh, he did have the ward in that brush, so he was able to spot out K1, and you know, it wasn't going too far forward, but when you have champions like Sivir and Jinx that just trade back and forth endlessly, it's really hard to see. You rarely see those solo kills, but you never know. First person to make a mistake, slip up. Anyone can take advantage.
Yeah, at the same time, though, Prototype, he's always taking that duelist summoner spell. Oh, he got it.
Just on the edge of that one. Shorter able to clear away that ward. Again, the vision control has been absolutely phenomenal for both these teams throughout the series. It's kind of gone back and forth a little bit. Who has had the better control? It usually has been the key to the game. But Zenith now looking to mass up towards the Dragon. They are thinking about this one. They know it's up. They had no idea it was taken last time, but they've certainly taken their time about this one, and it's going to be pretty obvious that they're in the area here, trying to get some vision cleared out before they go ahead and start for that one. But this does give time for Final 5 to get to the party.
Yeah, it's going to be a 5-on-5 here. It's a 5-on-5 comp versus, Rux can start these fights very easily. And a lot of pick, a lot of CC from Final 5. That's what they have going for them. And Rule 18, he caught Frost. It's going to be a 2-on-1 here.
Who caught who?
Yeah.
Takes a little bit more boomerang blade action, the back of the head. But again, it seems like they're kind of playing chicken with each other. They want to say, oh, you make the first move. No, you make the first move. And whoever is making that first mistake will be the ones that get taken out, or at least so these teams think. Now, Zenith, okay, got a pink ward. We know there's some vision here. We're going to start this one off. They don't see the other ward in the Dragon Pit, so this is spied. Rux is going to start making a move. So is Gate. He has the Destiny available. Dragon is not being fired down quick enough for this one.
He's going to go.
And they're going to use it. Here they go. The jump in, the rocket, the combo. They're going to be making plays here, and that's Rule 18 actually getting the kill credit. Mimo jumping out the Monsoon, knock him out of his own Cataclysm, and Prototype is running wild. One more pick up on a Mimo. Gonna find Solo King, gets him a double kill, and Final 5 should be able to bag this Dragon as Rux just chases away the scattered remnants of Zenith.
That's such a good ultimate there from Rux to start it off because it made them panic, and then they filtered in on top of the 5v5 team composition. The way you fight it is you split up. It's a great composition for that. Rengar doesn't want to be on top of everybody. Just Fate wants to be on the outskirts. Then you have the disengage if they do engage on you, which worked out perfectly there for Rule 18. I really like what ended up happening there. And they got the Dragon for themselves, too. It's a 5K gold advantage. Almost a 6K now when they take this turret.
Big plays for Final 5, and they just waited for Zenith to fall right into the trap. They didn't need direct vision. They had one right on that, so they perfectly timed it. And yeah, Rux, that ultimate was incredible.
And a big part of why that fight went the way it did was the fact that Easy didn't get his ultimate off.
Yeah.
He was the first person picked off in that fight. His ultimate, as he died, looked like it was about to go off. But he wasn't able to get any positioning on it. Locked up, stunned, focused down. Really, really good target prioritization there from Zenith. Because who else is going to do a lot of damage to your team? And look at that. Oh,
okay.
Oh.
Ghost as fast as you can. He still doesn't have the flash up, but he's running. And yeah,
Wow.
Mimo and Solo King can't quite catch him, so it's his lucky day.
Oh, that was really good. He just went up to the left a little bit and dodged Mimo. And Solo King, there was a nerf to Maokai's range on his Twisted Advance a long time ago.
Little things sometimes make the
things.
difference. And yeah, going back to that fight though, I think it was interesting. Prototype, they tried to combo up as much AoE while they had them grouped like that, because while Shorter Ace was engaged in tearing Easy's face off, they had everyone locked up for a brief moment, and the rocket, not for assassination, they didn't really need it, just kind of came in and made sure, okay, we can soften these guys up and then we can pick them off one by one. Really, really methodical play from Final 5 there.
Final 5 are doing a really good job. They have a 6K gold advantage. Now it's 16 minutes. They've gotten every Dragon this game. They've kind of woken up, and they're probably sitting there going, oh, praise the Lord, it's a best of 3. Yep. Because that first game was really bad by them in terms of playing their win conditions. Game 2, they had a much better time coming back, but the first half of the game was still really sloppy. This game, the fact that Shorter Ace is on a very comfortable champion for him is something that teams in the future are going to have to look at. You're going to have to pay respects to Shorter Ace, maybe a little bit more than Zenith has, and say, we can't let him have anything.
Yeah. Also, this game, you've noted how Prototype and Rule 18 in particular have been a little bit more cautious in their positioning. They've not tried to go far out here, but here we go, having a Destiny game.
Oh,
wow, he flashes away from the bubble, but it's still looking a little bit rough for them now. Gate, the Monsoon is out, but how long can he stand this one? Shorter Ace going to try to answer back. Rocket coming in, Prototype going to pick up Frost. Shorter Ace going to get himself a spree kill, and they really are able to just out-muscle and out-maneuver with superior numbers. I could not believe the quick turnaround time there for Final 5.
Flash the bubble. Cataclysm came out on top of him, and then they were immediately just to turn it around. Rux TPs in, uses his ultimate Unstoppable Onslaught to go straight towards that fight. Shorter Ace comes in from the top, the perfect flank from this composition. It does a little bit of everything, and they're just making their team fights just a little bit of everything.
Every single time they've come out like this, and it has just got to be so worrying for Zenith. 8,000 gold down right now. They have to find a means back into this game, but how do you do that? Gate by all means should have been dead twice over.
Yeah, big help there from Rule 18 though.
Absolutely. The Monsoon saved his life big time, even if it wasn't able to knock. Well, it knocked his opponents away just enough out of range for him to be able to get away from that. But yeah, the Cavalry arrived. Again, Final 5 are playing this team out, these team fights out so incredibly well. And they're not getting out of position as much.
Yeah, Gate locked in a blue card too during all of that panic. He's like, oh God!
Everybody gets one.
Oh, but would have been a little safer if it had been a yellow card, but it didn't matter in the end. He's still doing really well for himself.
The fact that he flashed at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, what a momentous single mechanical play.
Yeah, he's doing really well for himself too. Most gold in the game. You know, that is kind of granted with Twisted Fate's passive as well on top of everything. But he's doing a really good job. And Gate is a guy that he's always kind of been a middle of the pack, an uneventful player. And he also has some nerves when he's in high pressure situations, just like Shorter Ace a tiny bit. So, you know, the team has been a little worried about him, but he's definitely stepping up and showing it, and he's having a great game.
And the Twisted Fate strategy, again, paying dividends. I think they're even surprised that they got the Rengar this time, but they really are making the most of it. Shorter Ace comboing up with him so effectively well. Yeah. He has participated in 90% of the kills this game.
Yeah, and the fact that he also, well, actually, he's 100% kill participation for himself.
No, you're right. I can't math either.
Sorry. Gate, yeah. Gate has had 100%.
Gate's got 100%. That's true.
Shorter has 90. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, anyway. Sorry, I was about to focus on the mid laners, so I was looking at that. Anyway, Easy, they took away that Orianna first pick. They gave Shorter Ace the Rengar. And then Gate's saying, I have more champions in my pool, but that don't matter. Look at this. They're going on.
Chasing down Rux now.
Not a lot of catch potential, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's still tanking this up,
Run
and
away.
he's going to use his ult. Goodbye. Yeah, I'm not really sure why they did that, but an ult for an ult. Meanwhile, 3 members of Final 5 are just poking down this turret to death. At this point, Zenith, they seem to be looking for anything they possibly can. Last time they were doing that, they were in the lead. They were grabbing everything in the jungle. This time, they're on the back foot, and they're just scattered.
Yeah, the only way they were going to be able to pick anybody off with that Sivir ultimate as a chase was if they had Maokai running the charge in the front, or they had Jarvan as well. Like, that's something that they didn't have. Jarvan was a little bit off to the left, and the Solo King, he wasn't there at all.
Rux isn't the target for that either. I mean, he has so many ways to get away from that,
Flash,
and he can sustain. Yeah, incredibly. So in the end, they traded a Sivir ulti for a Sion one, and all that's really going to do is delay the next team fight.
It's really big, though. Look at this. 20 minutes in, already this type of gold advantage for Final 5. They are looking in prime shape right now, and there's 5 seconds on the Dragon, and you know they're going to show up to that one this time. They kind of woken up since that first game. They just kind of shook themselves off and said, no, we can do this.
Yeah, that turnaround. And we talked about teams that have nerves. I mean, they have recovered absolutely beautifully from that game number 1. It may have took them a little bit longer in game number 2, but look at them lead the charge now. This Dragon should be easily in their pockets. No vision here. Zenith thinking about Baron, but they won't be able to poke it down just yet. It's only 20 minutes into this game, and yeah, as you mentioned, a massive gold lead, over 10,000.
And there's something about Final 5 that, you know, I've talked to their managers and stuff, but at the same time, big part of their team isn't just the players on the field, it's their managerial staff. It's the coaches, the people that take care of them. You know that after that first game, they had a conversation, and they allowed them to calm down, just said what you have to do in this next game, and how to play. And I know that the reason it's called the Final 5 is because they've gone through so many different people looking for the right players. And they don't focus on just talent and like who's really mechanically good at the game. They focus on, is this player coachable? Do I want them on my team? And then they kind of make a musical band together because they just cover each other's weaknesses.
Yeah. They also all participate in the shot calling too. You know, Rule 18, he's a pretty talkative guy in comms prototype. He likes to talk about the fights. Shorter Ace, he's the one who determines where they look for buffs and when. And it is kind of a community effort. And as you mentioned, the coaching staff is kind of there as well. It is sort of like a band.
Yeah. And then Rux is there saying, calm down, everyone.
Yeah. When just to make sure that they're not getting too far ahead of themselves. So Rux, meanwhile, is going to try and make sure nobody gets anywhere near this Baron. He's kind of the gatekeeper right here. But they're still keeping this map pressure up. And anywhere Zenith wants to move, they're not going to be able to do it without being seen. Destiny Gate is
he's going over.
They're going to look for Mimo. Jump in the pit. Okay, I'll fight you. You're not trapped. I'm not trapped in here with you. Well, not anymore. Nobody's trapped anywhere.
Yellow card.
Oh, and he's going to be able to polish that one off. One more shot will do it. So now Easy is in a little bit of trouble, but Short Race thinking twice about going over that wall. They'll be happy with the fact that they picked off the jungler for now. Solo King actually has to back, and this strategy didn't work for him last game either.
Yeah, they keep picking off Mimo. 0-4, and then that allows them to get some objectives and some pressure off the back. Look at this, Ruxy's going to go straight through.
They do not need the towers. They're going to
No
try.
breaks.
Oh, couldn't go anywhere. They're going to get the tidal wave out, but Gate, the shockwave going to connect. Gate's going to get his Zhonya's on. Solo King tanking up everything he can. Gate's pretty low right here. Monsoon is out. Rule 18 trying to get the disengage. The tower is half down. Should be finished, but they get a shutdown goal. Prototype, and they just got a little bit too greedy there. And talk about being hasty and maybe getting your nerves up in a bunch. I think Rux might have been the one making that call here, and he may not live this one. That's Easy taking him down.
That's an extremely questionable. Is he going to get a kill,
I
though?
forgot about that.
Oh!
He can come right back on up. Almost picked off Solo King before his second life ended. And speaking of second life, Gate, this guy, again, how many times has he almost died?
A lot. It's been a lot. He's died one time. He's almost died like twice, maybe 3 times at this point.
So his almost KDA is really, really bad.
Yes, it's almost KDA. Hey, man, my almost KDA in a lot of games is usually really good. I'm like, they got away with 10 HP every time.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Flash down.
Short Race. Sneaky, sneaky. He thinking if he can pick someone off. The Rocket's not going to come down on anybody, though. Shorter Ace in a 1v3 just realized his mistake. He almost gets Frost, though. Oh, in the end, though, it's a shutdown as well as a tower. So Frost got to be happy about that one. And Zenith wrestle a little bit more gold back into their pockets.
That's some K1 to the rescue there. But the ebb and flow for the heal. Just really big coming up.
Good timing.
And the shields from Easy. Like, that would not have been possible without that.
Yeah, I think at that point, Shorter Ace, he thought he maybe was a little more ahead than he was to take the 1v2. I don't think he was going to be able to get away because they might have run into the brush. And, you know, so that was just the call that he made. Oh, maybe I can take down Sivir before I go.
Yeah. He also didn't use his ultimate, so he didn't gain another 5 stack of ferocity afterwards. So he was using it just to try and blow him up and try to save the turret, but nope.
Well, we've seen comebacks in these series so far. It would be a tall order for Zenith right now. This is one of the bigger deficits that either team has faced for a while early on. It is only 24 minutes. It feels like a later game at this point, the way that they're playing it out. And when Baron starts to be contestable, it's going to get scary because any mistake by either of these teams could, you know, send them over the cliff.
Yeah, really, Zenith just has to stop going into their Disney collection and whipping out Finding Nemo because, man, he's getting caught over and over again. It's just allowing objectives and things to fall into Final 5, and then they dictate the next fight.
Every single time, yeah. And, you know, a lot of these setups in all these games have been off the back of catches. Last time it was Rule 18. In this game, he's really stepped up his positioning. You can also tell Final 5 are grouping much better for warding. That in and of itself is an objective, and they're starting to treat it that way. So, again, it's like these teams are leveling up as they're playing.
For Final 5, yes.
Yes.
Zenith?
Not so much for Zenith.
Not so
They're having
much.
a little bit of trouble, I agree.
I think that their pick ban every game has been okay. Like, they have win conditions set up for themselves. But then this game, like, the Solo King's not on the front lines when they're using the Sivir ultimate. There's a lot of things that end up happening with the Jarvan pick that aren't optimal before the fight starts. And the catch.
Finding Nemo once again, and that's Shorter Ace who's going to be getting that
They saw that coming
out.
too.
Yeah.
There's a pink ward right there. They saw him stealth.
They didn't react in time. And you know, with the pick off here, it may be a little early for this one, but they could eyeball the Baron, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. There's no vision here for Zenith, and yeah, this is totally blind. They've got no Smite Steal available, and the damage with the Jinx is so incredible, and a Rengar. I think they can do this.
They caught Mimo again.
Yep.
Yeah, they just got to stay out of the Disney collection. Just
once again, yeah. Well, this time they're going to take themselves a Baron.
Yep.
There's another nice trophy for Shorter Race, getting that one, and the teleport, rather the gate coming out. And even on top of that one, Gate is going to be able to answer a little bit more. Rux wasn't even needed for that. He was just splitting in the bot side. Masterful play for Final 5.
And I want to go back to like game 1. Nemo was picking on Shorter Race with the help of Easy, and I love that composition. I love the synergy between them. And then they're like, okay, he'll get Nocturne. So like Shorter Race adjusted. Said, I didn't have a good game on that champion. Swaps it over to Nocturne. Boom. Has a really successful game mid-game through just diving in. Then this game, they give him Rengar, and he's like, I'll take Rengar. That's kind of like Zenith getting a free dragon. You're just like, oh, yep, free dragon, I'll take that. It's like, free Rengar. Yes, sign me up, please. And I would like to have a subscription to that.
They get both, actually, a free Rengar and a free dragon. So this time, another one going over to Final 5. More gold in their pockets, still up very, very much, and it even evens out some of the issues that they had dealt with earlier on. But you talked about Mimo and you know what's been going on with him this game. He is that player that makes a lot more of the solo calls on his own. He has that more solo queue-esque mentality. And this time it's really biting him behind.
Yeah, it was biting him last game too on the Jarvan. I think the Jarvan pick is something that is not as comfortable as his top tier champion pool picks. Like, definitely the same story though for shorter Ace.
But they really haven't been able to combo up as well as they've wanted to. I mean, you've seen like Cataclysm, Shockwaves, but they've been saving them on and only using them on one target. They haven't really been able to get as much as Final 5 has been able to get out of their own composition. And that's not just why this lead is as big as it is for Final 5, but that's a big part of it.
A lot of it, like you said, the Shockwaves, the Cataclysm combos. It's a 5v5 team composition, and it's not just always just having 5 members show up sometimes. It's who are you focusing? How many people are you hitting with the Shockwave? How many people are you getting in the ultimate? Who's the person that you're actually locking down? A lot of that is the shot calling. A lot of that is also Easy having to lock them up himself. So the ball delivery, you know, they have it, but you have to get on the right people. You have to, and the thing is, Final 5, they're playing around that. They're spreading out. They're 1-3-1 right now. Even when they had grouped up team fights at Dragon, they were just kind of making skirmishes. They're like, 2 people are on your left, 1 person's above you, and 2 people to your right. So you're going to Shockwave at most 2 people, right? They set him up for that. And I absolutely love that play from Final 5.
Yep. And now they continue to try and get a little bit more everywhere they can. Prototype on that Jinx has been able to fire down objectives as fast as they need him to. And the split with Rux continues. Solo King and he, they seem fated to clash almost continuously this entire series.
Shorter Ace clearing out some wards, giving himself some control of this jungle so that he can go back and forth between bottom and middle and help catch people out. Because Twisted Fate has tons of gank assistance, which we saw in the early game when he got him those 2 kills.
Yeah, but they're forcing everyone to run in all directions, really, and that's going to net Prototype a tower. They're looking at the inhibitor turrets now. Look at all that damage just with the rockets he's able to do, and look at the knockup as well.
It's tough.
Zenith can't get involved in this one. There's so much zone potential, and yeah, you never know when Gate's going to make it a numbers advantage for this team.
Yep, and this team does a little bit of everything. I'm going to say it again. They can split push, they can team fight, and right now they're going 1-3-1. And when you're up against a team fight composition that you have disengaged on your side, it's basically like, Zenith, you want to group as 5 and fight the 3 and just gank them, then you might lose 2 turrets on the sides. And then it's not worth. And then you might lose one of those people. But at the same time, what's going to happen in this case is you're going to have Flame Choppers come down, you're going to have some zoning, you're going to have some backup, and then you're going to have Janna ultimate people away. Yeah. That's like the big thing. You can't 5-on-3 this team. You'll end up just getting like 1 person. And then you'll lose 2 turrets.
So it's almost like there's very few situations that Zenith can come out on ahead in this one, and you can see that playing out right here. They're doing everything they can. Now, they have gotten a little bit cocky in the past. You saw them running in with the Scion charge earlier on. That really didn't work out for them as much, but they've recovered pretty beautifully from that. But again, Baron buff might be off. Even so, Final 5 not giving up the siege.
No, not at all. Rux, he's actually going to take a little bit of it up. Just put his toe in the water, see how cold it is. Yeah, okay. No, I'm not. He's like, well, am I tanky? Yeah, I'm tanky.
I'm pretty sure he can't feel anything since he's dead, but metaphorically speaking,
hopefully he feels that groove. Look at him.
Oh yeah, he can dance. Dead can dance. And he's going to be pushing on this with the rest of his team. They've got the wave clear with Jinx. Anywhere they send Prototype, they're going to be able to make some plays. Rule 18, got to be careful though. He doesn't have anywhere near those stats. So now Dragon is 2 minutes away. It is 31 minutes into this game. Final 5 looking to crack this shell, but it's proven to be a little bit tough. Zenith, they have been able to defend so far.
Yeah, their wave clear is really reliant on Easy. They can have a little bit in Sivir, but it's a little risky against this team composition.
Just a little bit.
Ooh, Final 5, they have like engage, disengage, pick. They do a little bit of everything, which is actually really hard to pull off. Like, your shot caller needs to make the right calls at the right time. You're like, all right, this is the part in the game where we have spikes that we should be picking people off. This is when we should be fighting. We have enough of a lead, we should be team fighting them. Like, things like that. Like, it's really, you have to be familiar with what everybody does in your composition, how they round it out.
Right.
So I really like what they've been doing this game. And it's a 13k gold advantage. It's 12.6. Really getting out of hand here for Zenith. And Final 5 are just kind of edging away. And the thing for Zenith, they do have an AoE team fight comp, but it's going to be really tough for them to pull it off correctly against this team in the way that Final 5 are playing.
Yeah, now Prototype, even by himself, is able to really make a lot of things happen. They've got Gate continuing to push down on the bot side as well, but again, they just keep extending this lead because they're forcing Zenith not to leave their base. And it's almost the same opposite, really, story of what we saw in game number 1. And the gold lead just extends further and further away. And maybe the reversal can happen at any time. You never know with an Orianna Shockwave. But it's getting harder and harder for that possibility to even happen. Baron's going to be up in less than a minute. And if you don't leave your base, how can you contest it?
Yeah, the Orianna Shockwave, I don't know how much it'll do at this point, because Prototype, he's just going to play so far back, and then he'll get healed up by Rule 18. Rule 18's been doing a good job of not getting picked off this game. As Janna, he had like one little slip up, and that was it. Otherwise, he's perfectly fine this game. He's been doing a really good job. But you're not going to be able to blow up that Scion. You blow up the Scion, he still comes back for a little bit. He has the shield for himself. The Rengar shorter ace. Last game, he was playing Nocturne. He didn't give a damn. He jumped straight in, and he's like, I'm dead. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and this time he's been able to get out alive as well, building a little bit more tanky. That Dragon, absolutely free, picked up there, and they even used the smite. So Baron's up in a couple of seconds, and they are eyeballing it, but see if they can get the pressure on. They have the vision control about 70% of the map, and they know they can just start this one up. Gate, blue cards it away, and they're going to be going for this one. Again, Zenith, where could they possibly be, guys? Oh, I don't think we want to check that. That Baron's going down quick.
Yeah, you can see how comfortable Shorter Ace is on this Rengar. He knows the timer that he gets that little half second when he exits a bush to jump, because he jumped from the bush on the backside of Red Buff right over there to the right to the Dragon Pit. And then he jumped from the one inside onto the Baron. Like, he's really good at that champion. He understands where he can jump from and where he can leave and how long he has on that.
Yeah, he makes it look easy. Not so many Rengar players are capable of doing stuff like that as well.
Well, just an example, if you're going to jump from that bush to Dragon, you have to not just click the Dragon, you have to click the right amount to get towards the wall, and then you jump the wall by clicking on the Dragon very quickly afterwards, because you have this half-second window where you have to move, jump.
Sounds more difficult than a Rumble ulti.
It's, well, no, Rumble ulti's really difficult. Rumble ulti's really difficult.
And then that's not even talking about if you smartcast it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it's tough.
Most people don't.
Nobody's worried about this game. They banned Rumble quite a lot this time, but you know, we talked about the top lanes a lot and how much they were focused this time. You can see why. The impact that both the Solo King and Rux have had in this series is really hard to understate. And Rux has been getting the better of Solo King when he's not helped out.
Yeah, and the Solo King, though, he just keeps getting picked on by the Shorter Ace in these last 2 games that have led to victories for Final 5. So when Rux gets a little bit of that extra oomph in the early game, he's able to just carry himself through it and be a big boon for his team. And a big tank. And also, at the same time, when you're looking at these top laners, they're both very tanky, they're both very durable, but then Shorter Ace, he's going to try to tear through that alongside Prototype. These 80 carries, they're getting kind of fed too.
Yeah. Frost actually tanks that. Yeah, that was a bit of a misplay there, but they've drawn 3 members, and now Prototype Rule 18 kind of cautious to check into this one. Will they be able to take this 1-3-1 to a tower at some point? Gate's looking for it. He's able to clear pretty effectively, but there's Solo King in his sights as well. Now Shorter Ace trying to wait and bait and see if he can get somebody to come out here. Zenith looking for anything they can, but they're playing so cautiously. Don't want to give up that kill that will cost them the game.
And Rux just tanking it up.
Yeah, he's not worried about it.
Straight into that turret. Chop it down like it's a log.
What is a tower to a lumberjack?
He's as tall as the tower. He's just basically staring into it.
That is a big model. Now, Mimo is going to try to chase him away, but, you know, it's kind of like, are you scared of me? And I feel like Rux is approaching that point where he's not really afraid of anyone.
I was just sitting there, and you said that's a big model. I'm like, would you call him a plus size?
I would say 2XL.
It's a plus size model. You work it, Scion.
Yep, well, there he goes.
He's going straight for it. He's going to tank it, too.
He's going to do it. Yeah, it doesn't even worry about the Vengeful Maelstrom on, although he might worry if Mimo comes in here. Shorter Ace actually being targeted out, getting the cage, flashing away, going invis and see if he can get out of that one, but Solo King and Mimo don't want to risk it.
Push.
Meanwhile, yeah, the turret goes down. They forgot all about Prototype. He's getting on the inhibitor now, so they got what they wanted. They've still got the Baron buff. They're looking for more. Gate's got the Destiny on, and they might want to fight this one out. All 5 members there. The inhibitor is down, and they're just going to get out of town.
It's the split push. Like I said, even if you fight the 3 or the couple of members that are on that side, you get damage on top. Gate, he went to that top lane turret, shoved it out, then he went middle, helped them get the inhib, and then he's like, oh, look at this minion wave that's conveniently here.
Yeah, it's just really, they have so many options so many choices of what they can do, and there's not much left for Zenith.
Oh,
now here comes Rux from the backside, the flank. They find easy. They find Solo King. The Rockets in. Shorter Ace is in trouble though, and he goes down to Frost, who's able to run away from this one. This fight's going haywire, but K1 having to flash away. They're going to be running back the fountain, and if Solo King can't even make it, Shockwave going to connect. But even so, it is a 1-for-1 Shorter Ace for Solo King, and they lose yet another inhibitor. Final 5 is taking this one all the way in. 2 inhibitors down. They're eyeballing the third. Oh wait, what's this? They're eyeballing the Nexus now.
Man, where's Rivington when you need him? On the backside.
It
literally
really was appropriate this time, and they are going to be looking for that final turret, but maybe they'll find some kills first. K1, he could go down. Gate gets himself a Zanya's Hourglass on. So much damage, so much sustain, and they've got nothing left in the tank. The Nexus is bare. Mimo, he could be in trouble. Down he goes. It's a double kill for Prototype. That Nexus is gone, and it's going to be Final 5, taking game number 3, and moving on
to round 2, where they will have to play against Complexity Black.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, but if they can play like that, they may just have a chance. What an incredible control game in that third set.
Yeah, I really like that they played their win conditions in both of them. Like that time they didn't go, oh, we should just 5v5 them all the time. They were like, oh, let's do a little bit of everything. So Shorter Ace really being on that Rengar that he's really comfortable with was the story of that game for me, because he set up Gate very early on, got him that level 2 gank, shut down Easy a tiny bit, and then just continued to allow that to snowball. Gate ended the game, I think, 3-1 and 11, having a lot of kill participation and a lot to say in every single fight as Twisted Fate, alongside his extra wave clear. So it's like, oh yeah, we can split push with Rux through 2 members, and then he can go do something else. Like Prototype and him, right on the same page. I loved that game from Final 5. Zenith, they had a really good game 1. They can hold their heads high for that one. Game 2, like it's really funny because each team kind of won 1.5 games. They won game 1, and then they won like half of the early game. Like they won half of game 2, and then, you know, of course, if you blow up the Nexus, you actually win the game. So the second half of the game was Zenith eSports, or sorry, was Final 5, and then they won the last game too.
Yeah, it was a fairly even effort, but you could see that when one team kind of waned, the other one waxed. It was a back and forth, and what they managed to do at the end of the day, Final 5 just had the better fight. They had the better plays, and they were able to avoid getting caught up in whatever Zenith wanted to throw at them. And also, you can't give Rengar up to Shorter Ace.
Yeah, I think they outpicked themselves in game 3 for Zenith, because they first picked the Orianna. It's not like there's a lot of options there for Gate. I don't know how familiar they are with him, but at the same time, Mimo forced himself onto Jarvan because of that. When their entire strategy, game 1 and 2, was take away Rengar Lee Sin. Game 3, they banned Nocturne because they were like, game 2 is Nocturne was scary because he was diving you guys with the divey composition, and so they kind of gave up that, and they got themselves like a Maokai, Orianna. It was just something that was a little all over the place, and I think that the pick ban phase for Final 5 was better, and then they played the composition better than what Zenith did.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, they'll move on. They'll be facing off against Complexity Black, and of course that's going to take place not right now, in a couple of days, next week actually. So that being said and done, we have quite a lot of matches to go, but what a long set that was, and how back and forth. It was so even. It was such a long time.
Man, if you love League of Legends, you got to love that set.
Oh, yeah. Incredible. And, you know, the leads may have changed, but the teams really, really gave it their all. And that was the middle of the pack of these challenger teams. This is one of the most competitive fields we've had for this expansion tournament. I think it's coming at the perfect time.
Yeah, that was seed 6 and 7 from the ranked 5s ladder. So they made a case for themselves. And actually, Final 5 was 7. So they were the underdogs coming into this just slightly. They came out on top with the help of, you know, Shorter Ace and Rux and Gate stepping up, and Prototype doing his thing. Rule 18, he ended up in that last game, you know, being in the right place at the right time when they needed him, saving Gate multiple times. He got caught in game 2 a bunch, but he didn't let that affect his mentality coming into game 3. And they even won game 2 as well.
Yeah. Not only that, but with the getting caught award, pretty much went over to Mimo at the end of the day. He had some serious trouble, even when he saw it coming. Yeah. And that solo queue mentality will burn you every single time in high-stakes matches like this.
It's just one of those things that, you know, we saw nerves go back and forth between the teams as well. We saw that Shorter Ace, he was having a hard time. Mimo put a lot of pressure on him. Gate was kind of having a little choke moment every now and then. But then game 3, they came out of it. They were fine. Shorter Ace was making really good calls on objectives. They set themselves up from the start with that. And then Gate was having a really good game too. So Rux, you know, I think he has a lot to do with that, keeping the team calm and keeping them centered. So
yeah, pretty big plays out of that team. And I think once they did collect those nerves, you could see that there was a physical change there. It happened at some point before game 2, but they really didn't fully recover until game until the middle of game 2 when they started picking up the pace. And, you know, the comeback, any team that can do that has a lot of confidence riding into game number 3. And you could see Zenith was just on the decline, and they kind of fell back into bad habits.
Yeah, I really, you know, big props there to Final 5 for that set. Whereas Zenith, you know, they did put up a really good fight, and they looked really strong at the start, but then it was really Final 5 not playing to their win conditions as a team, as a composition as well. That really, they picked pretty much the same comp in game 2, and they were like, oh, this is how you play this type of composition. So it worked out for them.
Yeah, big time. So they will be moving on, as we mentioned, and we